So immediately, in the first 2 minutes of the game, they had picked up 6 kill points. Now, that's going to be growing pains for a lot of our open teams, and they're definitely going to learn here that you do not go down to Thermal Station. I don't know why anyone ever considers Thermal Station a right proper drop for you, regardless of who's in the lobby. I mean, do you really want to practice for that when possibly in the future you run into a team like Team Intel, you run into a team like G2?
Hey, the best of the best, that's why they situate themselves here. And I think that's a great question, especially kind of looking forward here as we approach what is the final 2 games of World's Edge, right? Do they make choices? Do they change the POI here? We know we saw the 2 get capitalized within the first 2-3 minutes here, and maybe they want to find more practice in that region, but if they're looking to place anywhere higher on the board, I think we both know that some changes might be necessary.
Yeah, like you just take like a completely anonymous drop. You go over to like Survey or to like the outskirts of Survey Camp in the north, the complete furthest part of the map, so you can try to avoid them for as long as possible. I mean, go back to the old CLG days where they were taking like a tunnel, right? The Skyhook tunnel loot there. It's not that bad, and it's definitely better than going down in 20th place. So we'll see if the teams were able to take the time, take a look at the VOD real quickly to see what possible POIs or drops are open, and it becomes difficult here because, again, like we said, with the change in format, with the split map format, your time to adjust, it has been cut down in half. And so game number 2, it's going to be super important. Let's join on board with RCO as we head into game number 2 of the day. Our winners from game number 1, and they, you know, you have to be a little bit honest here, kind of got gifted this zone. I believe they dropped over at Lava Fissure anyhow, and that's where they're headed right now. That ring ended up pulling up towards them. They had a beautiful spot to just gatekeep out of, not meeting too much resistance there.
No, you know, not at all here. But I still think RCO, definitely an impressive squad, even if, you know, that ring was kind of a present for them here in this first game. I mean, they were the highest, you know, one of the squads right on the cusp at the back end of Pro League, I think finishing in 12th overall here, you know, now on their way potentially, you know, towards those last chance qualifiers number 2 in the future. And it's crazy that, I mean, for a few days there, they actually were in the top 10. They did hold a ticket to Sweden in their hands here. And while they might bite back, they still continue to perform even here into our open night.
So we do get note that Team Intel not getting challenged anymore down by Thermal Station. But we do have a number of drops that are still open. Fragment West is actually being taken by Team Excedrin right now. They've got both Fragment West and Fragment East. And speaking of, that's where our ring is pulling. So a lot of our teams are going to really start considering taking places like Markets, probably hugging the western side of Fragment more than anything else for this zone.
Yeah, you could still potentially see some teams try to square up what is that kind of northern area right on the cusp of epicenter, where you do kind of have a little bit of a vertical high ground advantage. Granted, though, we're currently seeing 4 or 5 squads that could potentially contest for that area, so we'll have to keep note on that. Out there, of course, though, towards the west, just before you make your way towards those chokes, there is the beacon available, which would be great, especially when we start looking at round 4 here, and that information is provided a little bit later on.
Ooh, not the entries. It's going to be Elevate that gets the first knock onto them in this fight down at Dome. Quick res coming out as they did have the door covered with the caustic barrel just in case, but right now they're still getting picked apart from every angle. Presley will fall from the team fire coming out from Mini and Mind Tricks here. Bring this one down to a 2v2. With the barrel popping inside, they might have the opportunity to go for the res and go for that 3v2. Still need to buy enough time for that reset, though. Where is the rest of Elevate? Well, they go peeking as soon as that res went down. Did not get the re-knock, though, unfortunately, onto Cole. So he'll have the opportunity to slow heal to finish this one off. And it looks like Elevate will lose out on Presley. So they're going to be stuck in this 2v3 for the time being. But the health bars are low on the other side, as it looks like Cole is going to take his slow time healing here. Mini's gone down. Casellas picks that one up. Golden to come in and find another one here, as we do have it back down to a 2v2 here. But again, they've got the tools to slow things down. They've got the caustic in play.
Yeah, it's definitely great for zoning out the potential of this fight. Elevate never really going to be able to make the full rush, so we continue to see not the entries at a numbers advantage as this one kind of carries forward here. And hopefully maybe this time around they're able to find a little bit, some semblance of health to their name. You see Minigam not quite in the best of situations there. No heals actually available. Finally picking up the syringe in their last moments. You can see from above, it looks like they got another caustic that they have to tighten toe here.
But you can see how the caustic is just so potent here in the early game fights when you're just able to zone out with those barrels, control the doors as well. Despite their nerfs, he is still incredibly strong in these isolated fights. We do have a lot of fights taking place. It looks like Oi Senpai might have finished off his fight very shortly here in the northeast side. That was the area where you were talking about the 4 squads kind of hovering around that epicenter side. Team Intel getting into their first fight as well. Now, not the entries poking their head out to try and find the rest of Elevate, and I'm wondering if maybe they were able to find an opportunity to pick up that banner and retreat.
Yeah, I believe Elevate, we did see them kind of carry towards the north there. I don't know how effectively they were able to pick up the banner. It is a round 1 close, though, so they might be able to pull that one back, but we do see Cole take a chunk of damage here, so we still do know that at least Elevate might be in play, maybe over here in this building instead. And Minigam will fall. Cole, you have to worry as well. Not looking too healthy either. Going to try to pop or maybe potentially secure the next revive there. At least just hiding behind his teammate's shield for now, as more fire to come.
Yeah, this has been such an extended fight that both teams have basically bled out of heals here. Cole has not been able to heal. Gambini was also sitting on about 25 HP that entire time. So really, the best way to get back HP might be to just go for the reses at this point. Team Intel down at Thermal Station will face off against another squad right now. That's going to be a knock on to Hellos for them, as the rest of the squad will go ahead and push up. Fearless not going to take an opportunity. Will take this opportunity to try and go for that finisher to get his shields back. Unfortunately, will not get it, as they finish off KWP. So now, with round 1 closing, we are finally down to 18 squads remaining here as round 1. I can't believe so much action is taking place right now.
I was about to say, tons of action, but honestly, only 2 squads to kind of currently fall. Look at the numbers on the board. There are only 47 people in play, right? That's a lot more than what is just the drop of 2 squads alone there, right? We do see finally it brought down to 16 as we tune in with Team Boom here. Still actually over by Dome. It looks like they might have heard the shots kind of taking place here and look to capitalize on the 2 of these squads that have been fighting for quite some time. Maybe potentially now Elevate if they're still kind of residing over here.
I mean, we did see Golden. He kind of stuck around in that Dome side to get one of the knocks on to that squad. But right now, Team Boom just keeping an eye out. Like you mentioned, it is ring number 1. If you've got the meds, you can heal up, but we know how long that fight took. It traded a lot of meds between them, so I'd be surprised if Golden had anything to kind of stick around with. We'll see, as Team Boom are going to go ahead and give up the chase, as they need to start moving in themselves. Don't know exactly what their economy situation is looking like. On board with High Peak Esports, though, as they find themselves in the zone, and Zone 2 as well, playing off of Train Station in Fragment East right now. They had a team ahead of them playing off the Beacon building. I'm wondering if that might be Team Excedrin that is trying to camp that beacon on the eastern side of Frag.
That can be absolutely crucial for the end game here, at least if it does carry towards that region. We do see a few zones, or at least I have seen them finish in that specific area, but sometimes they do carry a little bit more out towards the northwest where there's a little bit more open area in play here. Up, though, towards Epicenter, this is the ridge that we've seen Vizio play time and time again. They love this high ground. They love the angles it provides, giving them the kind of watch over everyone here. Now, I know for a fact that we still have the presence of a lot of teams potentially out here towards the north. Zone 1 only closing off part of it, that being Climatizer. So not exactly 100% safe in their pursuit of further aggression, but definitely in the start of it.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to play that slow side of the zone, which is what this position allows you to do. It also gives you the options, right, of whether or not this ring ends up pulling over towards western side or eastern side of Frag, of being able to decide on which part of Fragment you want to drop into, depending upon where that ring ends up pulling. On board with MBS, though, right outside of No Name right now, meeting some resistance as Stealth needs to take his this time to heal up. They might have to Wraith Portal to try and contest that team. They do have 2 minutes to play off of. I'm wondering if that's multiple squads in the area right now, keeping their crosshairs kind of stuck on that Dorito building, but it doesn't look like anyone's there. There's another squad in the further back by the cars, I believe. So they have 2 squads ahead of them right now, and they're going to take this opportunity to actually just go completely around No Name, not fight for this at all. Too many teams in the area.
MBS, though, this long rotation is quite open for themselves here. No real major cover. They can play through some of those villages, but it looks like they're more on the tempo to try to pick someone up. As we tune in back here with Vizio, we can see that a fight potentially starting there down on the building below. That Singularity coming out there fairly early on. Even some death boxes down the floor. And already, though, in this fragment, we do see Kimchi Lee on or dropping biscuits and crackers. That was one of the team members of those squads in that central train area, and it looks like they've already made a move here as Excedrin on the inside of this dome. All 3 members will make a quick work here on the inside of that one.
Yeah, so they were camping off that medical building, the multi-story building there to try and play off the beacon time and again. There is, of course, that chance that it ends up on the bridge and pulls out to the eastern side. I mean, you always have to take that risk, and it looks like they will be able to at least pick up some kill points for that. Patience on board with Team Intel now, though. On the outskirts of Fragment, just to the south of it, cutting off a team moving in from No Name. You can see Slurpee G all the way in the back, anchoring for his squad from that height. Fearless does not like his angle, so he'll take that phase breach back, allowing Mooney to come back as well. And they do not like this engagement, and I love how you can really read the decision-making when it comes to Team Intel. They are always looking for the positional advantages when they take these fights. These aren't haphazard fights for them.
No, not at all. I mean, it's the reason why we saw them accumulate so much. And even there in the end where they were pressured out from the zone, we saw the same. Now Excedrin still defending into this building here. We see a squad right above them on the 3rd floor. Lee, and what I assume is Sped, down low, looking for the revive. Both with gold shields, though. Definitely quick in terms of the resources available to continue to put them in a competitive state here.
Yeah, that's really nice for the reset. I mean, that's just 2 quick cells along with the syringe instead of having to hit the med kit for themselves. So you save so much time with it, and teams can get caught off guard by that reset. But Excedrin, they do have their roof being contested right now. Kimchi Lee almost gets punished for that peek, and he's going to have to heal up that gold once again. Now, Team Intel did end up finishing off their fight here, but Fearless has gone down. But it looks like they will be safe inside this building here, as another team might be showing up very shortly here. James Fearless does hit up that medkit as well. And this game has slowed down considerably than what we saw in game number 1, but it's still packed with action, as it looks like Excedrin will push out. It was Razor that was contesting their roof.
All right, we did see them drop, and looks like Nerf might also be in the area as well. They dropped Dress Up, and now Nerf to be the ones to pick that one up. Potentially they were on their rotation out. Turns will face punishment here of his own. K Sushi from the outside, also hearing shots. Another squad into the fray of this action, as that will be Stick Drift OP. 2 members down, a bit of a combo from Excedrin from above, as they still are trying to hunt and maybe find some access into the fight here. As now Forcewood, 1 health tick away, will be caught from behind.
And Excedrin are just able to play from the rooftop and get these kills. It's 3 for them. Bursty picks up 1 as that lone player, as the rat for Team Razor. He's going to have to pick up those banners and try and retreat. There's 2 possible respawn beacons for him to hit on the eastern side, so he needs to go now, especially with Team Intel roaming around in the area. They're having to deal with this caustic, though, and Slurpee doesn't even care, tanking all that gas to get the 1 clip onto Gordo before he ultimately falls. But Team Intel, they have the flank. Fearless comes in again, just tanking all of this gas. The audacity sometimes that comes out from Team Intel in these fights.
I mean, it's pure aggression here. You see him try to burn through the majority of it, break those barrels down so they can survive. Shots were heard, and now the third party will follow. But Intel, we saw how quickly the reset came. James Furious to try to defend, trying to find the ultimate, unable to do so. Now moving to fall as well. Slurpee from the backside. Can he pull off the clutch on this one here? It's Team Vizio to wipe them out again.
Vizio were just biding their time that whole time. We knew they were playing up at Epicenter, playing off that mountain line, the rock line there, but here's the third party from Team Excedrin. It looks like the reset might have come in for Vizio. They're still stuck inside of that building right now. They full turn onto enemy, and they do get that knock, and so Team Vizio might come out the victors here. Cruisin' and Kimchi Lee still trying to find the rest of their targets. Here's the bubble res, though, to get enemy back up, and he's got the gold bag as well. Cruisin' dropping down to cover the bubble for his squad. Will allow them for the reset, and that gold bag. Enemy is right back into this fight. Excedrin will not be able to finish off Vizio, and you have to imagine Vizio have just completely exited this fight and gotten out of here.
All three members have separated. There's so much room to play this on. And of course, even just the buildings across will be a better advantage than this one here. I do want to pull this one back, though, and kind of take a look at what was the fall of Nerf very quickly. Remember, picked up in combination from Razor, bursting on the low ground, and also Excedrin. That's great when we talk about the race for third here on Series E. Excedrin now get to carry on, play this game forward, and continue to accrue points for themselves and put them in a place where they don't have to worry about relegation. But they still have to worry about Vizio, Fury, and Phony finding the knocks for themselves here, cruising on the escape towards the central train line. Vizio finally were able to reapproach that fight.
Man, they just got kind of lost in that fight, and they forgot how vulnerable you can be in this building with so many tools to regain height, to play verticality. Vizio played that one excellently. Scissors controlling the outside on the windowsill there, and Fury coming in as well. So nice fight for Vizio. Excedrin not knocked out quite yet. We'll see if they can try and come back and recover, maybe get a mobile respawn beacon down. But this ring ends up pulling over towards the bridge side here as they end up finishing enemy. I'm surprised that Vizio are only sitting on purples at this point after 2 team fight wins. You can see 1,000 damage for Fury there, and he's super close, yeah.
One more fight will do it for them as they continue to hunt down potentially this last member, taking control, complete this building. It's crazy how far we've seen some of these teams extend. Look at the beacon. It is still in play. That major bridge here that we discussed fairly early on, going to be where we start to see this zone close out here. Vizio quick to find themselves now into the next circle here to defend and even make the potential rotation when the time comes here into round 6 at least. But for now, they're going to have to defend against most of these squads that are in the buildings across.
And a lot of their major threats are gone as well. That's one thing we have to consider. Excedrin, broken. I don't know if they're out quite yet, but definitely broken. Team Intel as well. Now Team Vizio are on the verge of getting a victory here. And they've stemmed a lot of the bleeding that happened in game number 1, right? So many kills ended up going towards Team Intel. It wasn't that big of a game for Team Intel here in game number 2. So this is the opportunity for Vizio now to start taking the lead up against them. RCO, though, our winners from game number 1, still alive. I have to imagine if that's going to be anyone that the pings go down onto, that's going to be RCO playing off Broken Building on the western side of Fragment.
Yeah, definitely one of the better places to be right now. Granted, we did just see them find the knock there onto Heart, so definitely in an exchange themselves. We do see shots over and out from that area, but I wonder if those are more kind of poised out here towards Vizio as they may potentially look for the response. No, so it definitely has to. This is where RCO do hold themselves. I was a little bit concerned, especially off the back end of that drop, and now we get to see them pretty far and down here towards the train line. We're the ones to hold that major kind of hotel-esque building here as the separation from Nando still providing here as they continue to pick up 2 drops.
Yeah, as it looks like they will actually finish off that team. So Team Boom going out. That was the squad that we saw slow rotating from that dome side, and so they were still stuck on the southern exit. RCO just playing the entirety of what's left of Fragment East, and this ring ends up pulling directly onto that bridge. So RCO will have to deal with the team inside the broken building right in front of them. We'll see. They do have the tools to do it. I mean, Caustic can be incredibly potent to try and force them down to lower levels. We'll see if Sleepy Panda has that Nox gas grenade to play off of. And is there another team quite possibly maybe creeping up from the market side? There's a Gibraltar forcing out the early bubble.
I believe that'll be the defensive bombardment as well there, utilized defensively, but what the Gibraltar doesn't quite know is there's another squad ahead here. Still RCO trying to find their entrance here into the broken building. Ordnance is down. Like you said, that Nox gas grenade, crucial and just waiting for its time to shine. Right into the middle of the pack. How did they not punish him from stepping into there now?
He just casually walked in like this is our spot. They do lose out on Holiday and Panda, though. It's all up to Nando left in this 1v1 to finish this out. He's got to hope that no one comes in for the third party. There's the knock onto Lox, but now another team might be showing up here. Very unfortunate for RCO. They had so much advantage going into that fight. A defensive bombardment is falling as well. Scissors ends up coming in for that Team Vizio. Strike at the right time, and now it's all up to them to hunt out the last 2 rats in this game to secure victory.
I gotta say, what a movement there from RCO, but it was effectively punished, just not immediately in that moment. We can see one of our rats here. It's cruising underneath the bridge. Escaped fairly early on. Bursty as well, so 2 of our partnered squads here, as it's only a matter of time before they begin to, spot them out.
Yeah, this is going to be awkward for Bursty. He has to just cover open ground there, and he will run into Cruisin'. So it's all going to come down to these rats. Who's going to secure second for their team? Can they secure an extra kill point as well? Or will Team Vizio end up cleaning the last 2 kill points as well for themselves? Looks like they're still going to play this one kind of safe. I feel like you might have gotten a little bit lost in the kill feed and not have been able to keep real good count. Remember, when it comes to these late games, our competitors do not know how many players there are once we hit that 10-player mark. So they're still playing this one as a full 3. They do spot out 1 rat. That's going to be Fury picking up Cruisin'. Bursty ends up surviving, getting second place for his squad. And now it's the final kill point. Team Vizio once again slow playing. Very opportunistic plays. It's going to be a great game for them here in game number 2.
Phony with the drop there. The last shot to do him in. I gotta tell you what, I hope Razor feels good about that one, though. After being knocked out, what was the 18th or 20th place there at the very, very beginning against Snowman, to come back around and at least rat out until you're second will definitely keep them competitive in the standings overall.
Yeah, I don't know how many kills they were able to get, but 9 placement points definitely helps out. Maybe throw in 3 kill points there for whatever fights they got into, because that one building where we saw Excedrin and Nerf all showing up, there was a flurry of kills from almost all teams there. So hopefully they got more than 1 or 2 kill points, but it was a well-earned victory for Team Vizio. You spotted out early on teams. When it comes to those fragment zones, like to play that slow side, like to play control over the bridge line, and it worked out for Team Vizio. So congratulations to them for taking game number 2. We're going to take a short break, and when we get back, it'll be the final map on World's Edge before we swap on over to Stormpoint, and you're not going to want to miss it, so don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back.
I'm fading!
One bad headache can crash your entire game.
Excedrin relieves headaches fast.
Excedrin, game over for headaches.
Vizio had a good showing in game number 1 tonight and built on that here in game 2. Not only do they take out Team Intel, looking to build momentum once again. Intel was frying in that early game, but Vizio come in to cut them off and they push it through to a victory. So well played there from Vizio, and they're looking to reclaim that title. They were the kings of Open Night at the start of the season, but it has been Intel's title here over the last couple of months, and looks like Vizio trying to rip that crown back here, and a good start for them. Let's check out our second player of the game here for tonight's competition. It's going to be our man Fury. Don't give him the Kraber. We had this little PSA at the start of the season, but Fury and Vizio looking good here. 6 kills and 3 assists. Solid game there for Fury, as well as just short of 2,000 damage as Vizio coming in strong. Of course, a team that had, a bit of a disappointment last night. They had a really good showing in their last night of ALGS competition, but it wasn't quite enough to get them to land. But W still probably the best, not one of the best unsigned teams in North American competitive Apex Legends right now. They show up strong here tonight, and they're performing as Team Vizio, and they're looking to do more here as the season continues. Of course, they still have 4 more games here tonight, and they're looking to capitalize off of a win there in Game 2. We'll check out that Mobile 1 leaderboard here when we go back to Jamerson and Zephyr in just a few, but let's take a quick break as we get ready for Game 3.
Versus coming daily under pressure. Working on applying the scheme. The true style trademark is at the edge of your dreams. Yeah. One shot, now the future is yours. I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the formula and chemistry. New memories spark and motivate and make the industry shake. Take the balls to the breaks. I'm talking one chance that was so close for the goal. It's one shot, now the future is yours. Let's go.
Welcome back to Series E. We're about to head into our last game on World's Edge, but before that, let's go ahead and check in with the Mobile 1 leaderboard. Vizio ended up getting a nice victory there in game number 2. End up in the lead now, 39 points overall. RCO, our winners from game number 1, find themselves in second place now, but Team Intel, well, not to be outdone, ended up with 11 points overall in game number 2.
And past that, we do see a gap beginning to form there. Next closest being 8 points away. The beginning of the rest of our partner teams here. Excedrin, along with Snowmen, who have been surprisingly finding some success early here, wiping a few of our partner squads, notably Razor in that last one, alongside them being Nerf, and then, of course, Razor below.
Yeah, so our partner squad's on the right side of the leaderboard this time around. Razor with a nice big turnaround there. So 12 points overall. So they did end up with 3 kill points in that last game. It's going to help them out, especially after that big goose in game number 1. But game number 3, it seems like all the teams have pretty much established, stay away from the south side of the zone, essentially, or south side of the map. Stay away from Team Intel. Team Intel not able to find as many fights as they had in game number 1. And so now this is where they get tested. How do you deal with teams adjusting to your play? Do you have more in your playbook, Team Intel? Can you find those kills like you did in game number 1? Well, taking a look at the Mobile 1 high performance moment, here's RCO's push, and this was the surprising thing. Sleepy Panda just walked in, knocked the door, walked in. He announced that he was going to walk up with that Nox gas grenade, but despite that, RCO were not able to close out this fight quickly enough.
Yeah, I will say it is still a difficult area to kind of fight your way into, just due to the nature of, how it is designed there. And quickly we saw, Valk take to the sky, kind of find a reapproach to that fight, the angle back into the entry of that doorway, as RCO had already pushed out there. But I will say they did provide enough damage there to enable what was the further push that led into Vizio taking complete control of that game there.
Yeah, Vizio, they were able to clear out the eastern side of Fragment and just push across that bridge because they knew basically the last 2 teams were fighting. And they got some big knocks with some nades. I mean, they're not running the Loba anymore, but still having the utility into the late game. They know how important that is. Those nades came in extremely handy for this final fight for themselves, and it all just came down to finishing off the final rats in the late game there. So Team Vizio now starting to come alive here. I mean, we thought it was going to be all Team Intel till the end of the finish line, but Team Vizio have something to say about it, and I'm glad to see that they are fighting back and striking back.
I will say, you know, coming back from series recap earlier this week, my predictions were not Intel. I saw the performance. I saw the fury that came out of Team W, you know, Vizio, after this week's recent ALGS, and I gave my props towards them here as we started this week off. So I have high hopes for them here, as soon we'll be making our way onto the final iteration of World's Edge here today. And it's crazy that you bring that up. I didn't even notice that they were not running the Loba. I mean, that has been a tried and true legend for this composition for quite some time here. So potentially some of the impacts felt from ALGS as they might be trying out something new here at the response of the teams around them.
And that's the nice thing, especially when it comes to like this quasi off season, right? I mean, we still have the challenger circuit to finish off, and then we have the last chance qualifiers, but a lot of the pressure has kind of been removed from a lot of our squads, so they can try some new things. And especially for a squad like Vizio, where they're sitting quite comfortably on top of the leaderboard, they can try some new things. They're playing this they're playing this Horizon, which can be incredibly potent, but they're also changing up their drop spot here, going over towards staging, which is another thing to note.
So they definitely have more mobility to work with, kind of to play out into some of these fights for themselves here, with the Wombo to provide as well with that singularity. I wonder if we might get the opportunity to see that. I know Horizon becoming a big presence here in the North American scene, but right off the bat, first squad to fall, and it's actually Nerth versus Team Splash right by Climatizer, in almost immediate exchange there.
I'm surprised because if I remember correctly, Nerf has been dropping over at Lava Siphon. So they went for this 50-50 contest over at Climatizer instead. I'm wondering what that means. Is it a lack of respect over towards that Splash side to be able to just go ahead and willy-nilly 50-50 drop them after week in, week out, Nerf have been able to play off of that Lava Siphon drop? Well, they're definitely going to be able to pick up a lot of kill points off of that now, and also the armor advantage. They've got the purples and blues early on, and that's great for them because, honestly, as a transition, going from Lava Siphon to Climatizer, it feels very similar.
Back towards not the entries here. We see the gas once again. Mindtrick's already trying to force their way inside, but taken incredibly low. We see the Phoenix Kid already started up there as they will be finally within this building, but already a return from their offense here as they've taken towards the top.
I'm wondering if that's going to be Elevate once again. This fight took so long last time around that we had another squad ending up showing up to clean up maybe like about a minute after the ring started closing in. So they do have some time to work with, but they know that the clock is going to be pressuring them. That third party is coming in. Maybe even Elevate getting that first knock, and it is golden with that knock onto Mind Tricks. But the Caustic Gas is in play. There is a Caustic on the other side, and so it's going to be the entry player for that squad, and they don't even need the entry. Golden just gets the one clip onto Gambini there. It's going to be Cole now left in a 1v3 as Elevate clean up the remnants of this squad, and that's another beautiful spray coming out. Unfortunately,
they're
Elevator just
two-man.
played this one as a duo as well.
I can definitely feel the rage here on this one. I understand the message you're trying to convey there, Presley. A 2v3, a success, a return from the last game has to feel good. Turned into Lava Fissure here. It's KWP Punish. This is RCO's area. We talk a lot about teams like Intel keeping a hold over their land. This time around, RCO in effect.
Yeah, that's going to be great for them, picking up the purple along with the double blues. The ring not too far off from them, so this contest doesn't really slow them down too much. They can try and play edge for a bit if they want to. They can rely upon this beacon. We'll see. Ends up pulling down. I know we took a look at the map, but I already forgotten where this ring ended up pulling down. So when we get the opportunity to take a look at that map once again, I would love to do that. But right now, though, RCA are going to take their time hitting the replicators, so they can definitely slow play this one. This one ends up going down towards the tree side. there's a small chance, Zephyr, that, you know, it could go over towards Thermal, but you have to imagine most people are betting on the tree endings.
Right, we see that kind of finish right on the cusp of tree. Sometimes a little bit of that elevated kind of tunnel high ground also in play with those buildings directly out there towards the west. Something I do want to take note of is the only two squads to play directly into that final zone right now are going to be Intel and Vizio right up against each other.
Razor trying to get aggressive onto RCO right now. Defensive bombardments have gone down, but RCO have recovered. And the nades are coming out for Nando there to control that second high ground, but oh, he gets tagged. Ducking behind cover, but here's the turnaround from Holiday, getting some decent damage out, but it's Bursty coming in. His 1-for-1 exchange, but the caustic gas is doing too much work. Bursty once again left to keep his team alive throughout all of this. They might be down to a 1v1. We'll find out in just a moment as Team Intel getting into a fight themselves on the northern side of Thermal Station right now. And it's Team Vizio that ended up walking into them. Oni getting thirsted there, so Team Intel that'll knock him out as Razor ends up winning out that fight up against RCO.
I will say that we did see this contest between the two of them, and I'm 100% sure that is going to be one. Intel here and Vizio taken right just south of here, and these buildings along the train line. I believe Intel were the ones to force this one out over towards the north as Vizio potentially looked for a bit of an escape, kind of back towards the ridge to try to retreat, and that we saw there weren't really able to find what they wanted, losing Phony in the process. Now, they have some time, plenty actually, to potentially pull their teammates' banner back up, get the revive, and maybe reapproach this one. We know for a fact that not a lot of teams are in this area, but Intel, you can see how aggressive they are. They know this is where it counts. This is their opportunity to potentially kind of shoot past Vizio starting tonight, and that's why you see them defending the death box.
Yeah, so that's going to be a second Valkyrie ultimate being used as well, so Vizio just have to give it up and try and rat this one out. We'll see how much longer they can survive. We're down to 14 squads, by the way. Didn't realize that much fighting had taken place, and so all hell has broken loose here on World's Edge. Everyone is just chomping at the bit for that swap on over towards Storm Point. AOG, though, as we join on board with them, they have gained one of the strongest positions for this zone. They have position over that beacon building inside of tree right now. They are hunkered down with the caustic barrels and gas as well. So they should be sitting pretty right here, but it looks like someone's ready to contest them. Someone's rolling up and a fight might break out. We'll see if there's a caustic on the other side though, which will make this entry a little bit easier, but Intel find another fight. It's gonna be Locks getting the first knock. We're not used to seeing that. Team Intel just kind of blind rotated into this one. Slurpee G, yeah, they don't have the Valkyrie ultimate here, so they kind of blind rotated into this one, and they're getting punished for it now. Mooney the only one up. He has traded back, at least taking on Ajani. Second one to fall. Frosty goes down. Snowman now down to a 1v1 up against Team Intel. Mooney, he's got the arm shield to try and play off of as well, along with his headshot. Angle, first PK shot, misses. He's going to go ahead and re-challenge now down to one shot.
No!
He will lose out. It's the Snowmen who end up taking out Team Intel here in game number 3.
And that's even before we see Vizio fall, them being the kind of rats right now on the map here. That's extremely punishing for Intel. We know they hadn't picked up a single, or at least the one kill there onto Phony to start this game off. So potentially the turnaround here as we finish up World's Edge. As we pull back, though, down towards the south, this isn't quite the building that we were talking about just before, a little bit more over towards the east. Team MBS, we saw their late rotation last game that was quickly actually punished by Intel, defending what was the kind of southern end of Fragment. They themselves here now trying to hold control over the, I think, the entirety of this building, utilizing Cryptic on that caustic, but you can already see we got that squad right across from them.
Yeah, we got AOG just to their west, but another squad looking to try and take over this building. MBS ended up winning out a fight just beforehand against the two-man, unfortunately, of Elevate here. And this is a great opportunity for them to gatekeep. It looks like multiple squads trying to play the slow side of the zone, come in from the south side, and MBS now have that opportunity to try and gatekeep them, but oh boy, Mortal Elite ends up getting his toes taken off from that charge rifle just at the bottom of his dome there. So he's going to have to use that defensive bombardment just for the reset. The roof is challenged, and they do end up taking out willingly. Looks like Excedrin coming across the snowman as well. Another fight taking place. We got 3 teams now fighting over this building here, as both of the squads that were initially fighting have backed away, allowing the team that MBS were looking to try and gatekeep from that tunnel choke. We're able to now take the roof.
Right. You see the one member of the opposing squad there just slowly shifting away right past the crate as it stands right now. Can confirm, though, with Excedrin, they were successfully able to find the full wipe there onto Snowman in their exchange. So that'll be it for them, even having an incredibly successful take against Intel. Fury to also drop as well. I believe that might be just one standing member here of the Vizio roster now having to rat this one out.
Yeah, so now it's 3 games in a row where Team Intel's kind of aggression and quick movement style has been punished. I wonder if they try and change things up once we go over to Stormpoint, but here's Team Razor able to come in and they actually take this building for free. This is where we saw AOG earlier on, but now it's Team Razor. Excellent control. They're going to throw down those caustic barrels if they want to, of course. Once this zone finishes up closing, they can go ahead and take that beacon for themselves just to have confirmation that the ring is going to continue to pull down towards this tree side. There is a chance, like you said, that northern high ground that Bursty is taking a look at right now for this ring to start pulling up there, and it actually does. And so they're happy with that ring pull information.
And they're immediately going to get the heck out of there. They know this one can find its way actually even further towards the north, not even completely on the cusp of that ridge. We do see a lot of teams that tend to play right above the tunnel line, but this still kind of holds these buildings out here towards the west. A little bit of fissure, some of the lines that might be available right on the outside of Thermal Station. I mean, this looks like sometimes what we see when we see the zone kind of start even more over towards Thermal.
Yeah, I think at this point, Razor have been able to deduce this is probably going to be pulling on the eastern side of Thermal Station. You're looking at that train platform with the 2 buildings off to the eastern side that this ring probably pulls to, especially just along that lava ridge. And Team Excedrin, unfortunately, do not have the knowledge of the ring, but they're looking for the fights, and they're looking for the knocks, and they got the kill right there onto Chansey. Can they punish it, though? Didn't get to take a look at Cruisin's ultimate meter to see if he has it, but he's got the angle. He is just picking them apart. Phase breach if he wants to go in, but it looks like enemy's going to back away. Kimchi Lee is there on the front line. He does have his bubble, but he's getting tagged, unfortunately, from behind and from inside Lava Siphon right now. So they cannot punish the damage, the absolute damage that Cruisin was putting out.
Still, all these squads who kind of host themselves out here towards the east, they've got some time, 2 minutes to go, but all of them forced to make some heavy rotations here in just a moment. Now, we do know that the zone still does leave a little bit of the tree area in play for this next one, so you could technically kind of run up the edge and maybe rotate back down and over through the choke over in the north. Obviously, Excedrin taking to the skies here. They're going to redeploy directly into the face of this action here. We know plenty of squads are still right here. Even the dome down there on the ground, you can see it right against the train line. Excedrin actually seeing that, gonna have to stunt what might have been a longer rotation here, now playing right up against the ridge. And this could be a really difficult place to kind of defend here, because you also have to worry about all those guys on your backside.
They have a good count, though, for how many teams are in the area coming up behind them. So they can reliably understand that, you know, you have maybe 2-3 teams coming up behind you. That leaves less teams inside of Thermal right now to try and push you for this spot. That's true. So we'll see if they have an anchor in the back to keep an eye on that. But it looks like all eyes are towards their back right now. And that's where the kill points are. So I think they'll be relatively safe here. We did see, I believe, RCO starting to move up early as well. They took that western side to try and get a little bit deeper in. They're going to be playing for those train platforms. You can see it. It is smack dab right there in the middle of the next zone. But one thing I did want to note, I love how quickly our teams have come to adapt to making their rotations so much faster, making their decisions so much faster. You saw Excedrin, as soon as the zone closed, they made the call, we're not going to stick around here for the kills anymore. We're going to play position instead, and made that instant rotation with the Valkyrie ultimate. Same thing for RCO. As soon as they got that beacon scan, they started moving.
Now, zone just a moment away here. We still do see some of those squads kind of right up against the wall, like I was discussing fairly early on. This is their kind of last chance to maybe find their way over on the opposite end of the ridge. And now Excedrin, who do hold this choke here, actually going to find themselves at even more of an advantage. Oh, that's the last standing member. I believe that's it. Vizio eliminated at 9.
Wow, Scissors tried his best to rat this one out. Unfortunately, could not survive any longer. So off the back of the win in game number 2, it's getting cut short. Cruz in. Oh, people definitely just getting punished right now as he's just landing shot after shot with this wingy right now. And this is why Excedrin wanted to play this spot. They wanted to try and get deeper, but this is definitely a great spot that's opportunistic for them to get a lot of these kill points, and it's absolutely free. No one's even shot back at them this entire time. Stick drift OP caught underneath, but you can see the quick turnaround now from Cruz, and no longer focusing on the outside. A team is contesting them here on the heights, and this ring does end up continuing to pull, by the way, up toward that train platform once more.
Thankfully, Lee was really quick on the thinking there. The immediate defensive bombardment, the minute we saw that redeploy come through, that dissuaded any kind of pressure there. And it continues to give Excedrin at least this kind of advantage where they continue to hold up those teams that still are sitting below them here on the outskirts of Tree. Like you said, though, they have that zone information. We've seen quick rotations out of them many times before. This time around, now being choked, are they going to be looking for the same kind of tenacity, or they just don't really have potentially that opportunity?
Yeah, they've got 30 seconds really left to hang around here before they really have to move, and it looks like the call is being made. They're going to start backing up, make sure they regroup as a whole, start moving in. They've got the tools to do it. They should have the Valkyrie ultimate once again, but they also have the phase breach if things end up going bad. But in this game state, it looks like they should be able to just walk in. We're down to 7 squads, 20 players left, and so there's plenty of time for them to move up, and there has to be a lot of spots still open up. It looks like they're going to turn around as they spotted out. It looks like 2 other squads down there. MBS still coming up. They're able to finish off a team of their own, and now Excedrin have to deal with that. Turns, ratting this one out for Team Nerf right now, making his skyward dive into Thermal. Might try to rat this out underneath of that train platform, but he has thought better of it. Razor have actually spotted him out, currently looking to finish him off. Oh, it's the full Team Nerf.
Right, yeah, the full Team Nerf taking the redeploy from over the wall there. They land directly in this building. Notably, no one is actually here. No one is holding the train line whatsoever. Granted, a difficult place to kind of cover and hold on the opposite end that will be in play for this next zone, but definitely once the zone officially finally closes in, and you know you're one of the few squads that do exist in that area, can be a great position for the end game, especially with that high ground advantage. Still though, defending against squads like Excedrin, like the team from below, now coming out of the train line, they've got 2 competitors to hold off.
They have to be careful and not over peak. As you can see, they're getting shot from the thermal station tower right now. They've got also Razor coming in from that north side, but Turns is able to slow things down just a bit with that smoke line. Unfortunately for Dimmy, he's not able to get that next knock. And it looks like Excedrin have moved in. We're able to find a couple kills themselves currently. We got Nerf alive, we got Razor alive, along with Team Excedrin here as Nerf now peek out, trying to hunt out that last kill. But big fight is breaking out. The dome has gone down. Here come the air burst nades a little bit early, but Force is going to go ahead and pop that Beast the Hunt here. Excedrin about to get punished, and they have to cancel that ultimate. Nerf on the front line. Lee is the first one to go down. But again, the threats from inside of Thermal Station right now is stopping Team Nerf from finishing off the rest of Team Excedrin. It was a good call to back away and play this one a little bit more conservative.
And now we see the team in the north, potentially Razor on their move down here. And I love that from Nerf. Like you said, that decision to pull away. They run into the smoke that had been dropped from turns at the very beginning to provide the chaos necessary if something like that were to happen here. Now, fully healed up in position here. They want to secure this line. They know it's the god spot for the finish here of this game. One squad right above them. I'm pretty sure, I'm mostly sure that one is Razor's. Dimmy tries to find those angles. Now another smoke down.
Yeah, 100%. You get confirmation when you go for that peak and you get taken out like that or taken down super low like that, it's going to be a good team on the other side. And so they have to respect them. Smoke line coming in for Team Nerf right now just to keep Razor at bay, just to play for the kill points from the teams that'll be rotating in from Thermal Station. You have confirmation there was a squad that was playing up top. It looks like they have dropped down. We also get the X-ray there. It is Razor on the other side of this one. The armor, though, is in the favor of Team Nerf, so they have on 25 HP advantage. Demi still has to give them respect and play at better angles like this one that Force is using right now. They need to pick up these extra kill points here on the low ground.
Even if they don't secure a successful exchange up here, they can still potentially pick off what might be the start of this fight between the other two remaining squads there. Just have to be careful, though. Constantly keep their angles provided on the edge here. They've got turns and the like. Definitely constantly watching. Yes, we do hear the liftoff, that redeploy coming right down. This actually might punish Razor if they're not careful.
Oh, Razor getting dropped on by that squad. They haven't answered quite yet, but there it is. The first knock coming out from Dreza. No knocks on the side of Razor. And so Team Nerf understand they cannot push this. Unfortunately, they do have a squad underneath them. And Nerf actually don't get the scan onto the squad right below. They got to be careful. It's the final three squads, though, as MBS were finished off. It's all full three-mans. Nerf are going to try and challenge Team Razor right now. You have to imagine they understand that the squad is below them despite not getting them on the scan. And now, with that defensive bombardment, they are forced back. Adept goes first in, almost taking out Force, forcing him back behind cover. And it's going to be the full reset now from all three squads.
And this is a bit tight, but notably, look at where this zone is finishing, almost directly on top of this third squad from underneath. Now Razor pushing their advantage. Dresnev will drop here from the beam on the side. Now a 2v3 situation. Flesh for both of the Razor members here. And with the next fall, Dimmy will potentially lose out on his life here. And from below, though, it's our third squad, Adept, to drop Fearing Live, now on the upper end of this zone to potentially start what might be a return for his team here.
It's going to be a final 3v3, but can the other two players make their way on up?
Oh,
You
no.
can see them crouching below. So it's just going to be the shooting gallery here for Team Nerf. They got the knock onto Adept. It's going to be a 3v2. They had some extra nades to toss down to make this so much easier. Scans out along with the missile swarm just in case, as the res does come in for Adept. But for Team Nerf, it's all about just finishing this off. They know exactly where their opponents are. Turns. I don't understand why he would actually go for that knock. I mean, you gotta imagine it was just quick melee, quick fat finger there, but or maybe just frustration. Why don't you have any nades? There's another knock. Force able to get that onto Patty McSkee there, and we know that the bubble is down, so this is going to be free firing in for Team Nerf. The drop down now for Force as he gets the knock. He trades away, and now Dimmy he gets his opportunity to try and take out Adept, but he might just go down to the lava. It's the final 1v1 here. Dimmy, you cannot lose this one, and he will not. Team Nerf get the final win here on World's Edge in game number 3.
I gotta say, one of the more unique finishes there in the end. I would have loved to see the rotation up from Adept and his squad, kind of hearing that some of the pressure was taking place. Instead, they were sitting ducks there in the lava, and I'll tell you what, their feathers got burned.
Yeah, you gotta imagine Adept's just asking, where's my team? Where's my team? Well, you're the only one with verticality, and that's why we get to see actually now a lot of compositional changes in Pro League. Right, we're seeing a lot more of the Horizons, not Watsons. We haven't seen her in forever, but the Horizon. She adds the verticality for the team on a tactical cooldown, which is why she is so incredibly strong. But that does mean that we have hit halftime. We're going to take our break. When we get back, we'll be moving on for Storm Point. You're not going to want to miss that, so don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back.
Pressures coming daily under pressure. Working on the plot and the scheme. The true style trademark is at the edge of your dreams. Yeah. One shot, now the future is yours. I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the formula and chemistry. The memories spark and motivate and make the industry shake. Put the balls in the place. I'm talking one chance at the soul. Goes for the goal. It's one shot. Now the future is yours. Let's go.
Excedrin.
I'm fading.
One bad headache can crash your entire game.
Excedrin relieves headaches fast.
Excedrin, game over for headaches.
It's going down, 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 it's going right now. They're gonna hear our voice, they're gonna hear our voice, they're gonna hear our voice. It's going down, we're gonna make some noise, we're gonna make some noise, we're gonna make some noise. It's going down, we got the right moves, we got the right moves, we got the right moves. It's going down. They're gonna hear our voice, they're gonna hear our voice, they're gonna hear our voice. It's going down, we're gonna make some noise, we're gonna make some noise, we're gonna make some noise. It's going down, we got the right moves, we got the right moves, we got the right moves. It's going down.
It's refreshing, refreshingly sweet, but without sugar, 0 calorie treat. Now all our top flavored splash.
It's fruit freshin'.
RCO, Vizio, and now Team Nerf top the charts in our 3 games on World's Edge. And as we get ready for the second half, it was a big game there from Nerf. We talked about them at the top of the day, of course, themselves and Excedrin, the 2 teams really duking it out for that 3rd place spot for safety going into the next season of Series Z and coming into tonight. Excedrin had a 38-point lead on Nerf, but that game is certainly going to do Nerf a lot of favors. Let's check out our 3rd player of the game here as we get ready to jump over to Storm Point. It's going to go to Force this time, and that's 7 kills and an assist, bringing out the Bloodhound, which is not super common in the meta as of late, but a lot of teams have been mixing things up, bringing things out like the Ash, the Loba, the Horizon, etc. Bloodhound popping in here for Team Nerf. It works out for them in this game. Over 2,000 damage as well for Force in this one. That's a huge game for Nerf. I'm very curious to see how that shakes up the Mobile One leaderboard. Of course, Intel, Vizio, and RCO were at the top after 2 games, but Nerf pushing themselves into the conversation there, and it seems wide open as we go into the second half of today's competition. Of course, Intel has been fragging out fairly well in the early game, but they haven't been getting into those late circles like we're used to. Teams have been pushing and winning fights against Intel tonight, which is very interesting to see. So we'll have to see how things shake out, maybe if things change and their luck changes going into the action on Storm Point. 3 more games to go tonight. It's certainly going to be a hell of a ride, so make sure you're sticking around. One more break here, and then we kick off game number 4. Don't go far.
We're gonna do it in 3, 2, 2.
Welcome back to Series E. We're about to head into the second half, which means we're going over to Storm Point. So we're going to change directions there in just a bit. But before that, let's check in with the Mobile One leaderboard. Nerf with a big win there in game number 3. Will it be enough to propel them up in the leaderboards? And it does. They are now in 3rd place, though. Team Vizio and RCO still maintain their spots in 1st and 2nd, respectively.
Notably, we do see the Snowmen fall down here to 7th, kind of losing what was their top 5 position after what was some great performance in the first 2 games, as well as, don't forget it, the knock that occurred there in game 3 against Team Intel, being the squad to wipe them and continue what has been a little bit of a switch in terms of performance regarding Intel.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Team Splash, ended up getting taken out by Team Nerf. Remember, we saw that 50-50 taking place at Climatizer, and they were definitely punished for it. Only 6 points of them. But of our open squads that have competed today, I mean, no surprises there. Seeing RCO up in 2nd place, but the Snowmen really performing today so far. Team Intel, though, came in with this blind rotation. They used the Valkyrie ultimate just beforehand, landing onto the Snowmen. They ended up getting punished. Fearless going down first is typically not what you want to see in these fights. Slurpee tries his best, but you can see the angles were set up beautifully for Snowman. It did come down to a 1v1, I believe, ultimately here. Mooney versus the Caustic on the other side, but ends up missing a shot, unfortunately, here. Big one with that PK. He's not able to turn things around.
Bit of a shame there, but definitely still a realm of play to go here for Intel. Now kind of back on our way towards Storm Point. I don't say back. It's technically the first time. Now on our way here towards Storm Point. The last 3 opportunities these teams have to put some points on the board. And Intel, no slouch any day of the week. They can take what is maybe some rough starts that they've seen here in games 2 and 3, turn this one around.
Yeah, game number 1, our first game of the day. That was the big one for Team Intel. Remember, that's where they ended up scoring 20 points. They had like 15, 16 kills or something. That game, I believe, actually, it was 17. And so when we have that unknown factor once again, where is everyone going to drop? Team Intel could get contested once again. So our teams, our squads, our open squads are going to have to stay on their toes here and really be able to assess who they're fighting if they end up 50-50ing a squad. Here we go. Heading into game number 4. This is Intel's opportunity, I imagine, as we head into Storm Point for them to have a big breakout game once again. Let's join on board with our winners from game number 3, Team Nerf. They had a huge changeup. We have to mention that once again. Dropping or changing their drop from Lava Siphon, going up the Climatizer, taking out Splash. What a huge statement coming out from them as we get to see our first drops.
Now, don't forget, we are still in the competition of figuring out who's going to be third this season for Series E, and that's the placement that really counts. I mean, Team Intel and Vizio have more than secured first and second here, so Excedrin v Nerf as the next matchup we look at, and if Nerf continues to find success today, continue to rack that one up and potentially push them out what they had just achieved.
So we get our first look at the ring as well, going all the way up to the wall, but you can see the pings going down. Teams want to try and play that valley to the north of the wall, actually. I believe we saw a team get a good win off of that zone last time around. But for Team Intel, unfortunately, not so many teams dropping around them. Now, we do have some presence over at Cenote Cave. It looks like Excedrin are trying to chase down a fight over there on the western side of the map. Team Intel, though, gonna have to play hard edge to try and find some squads. We do have a squad that could be rotating in on them from fish farms, but that still remains to be seen, as it looks like Excedrin are giving great chase right now. Would love to join on board with them as they try to get the first kills in this game.
For now, though, we take a look at Snowman on a hunt of their own, currently sitting in 7th place. They've found a bit of a drop in the standings, but they're definitely a threat that we've seen here in our open squads. Now Frosty with the beam, a break to be found. Reload on the car here now with the dome down. Locks for a knock of his own as they take towards the stairwell. Running away into the door. It'll fall in. Wall it may close. It can't hold them all.
Yeah, Snowmen getting the first 3 kills of the game over here at Launchpad, and so that's going to be a beautiful start for them. And they're going to have to recover really quickly here. You have to imagine Team Intel might be moving up very shortly, and so they need to recover now. They need to get the armor swaps and heals quickly. On board with Nestle Splash, starting to move their way to the south. They might have heard some of the shots here that they have a squad under that they're giving chase to. Very thick otter going down. So Nestle Splash, despite having only the white armors here, they're picking up the kills. We'll see if they can get more. Big note, though, Casellos, he's playing that fuse. I don't know, I am all here for it.
I am literally right with you, James. I personally think this is one of my favorite picks that has not really taken off for a lot of these comps, and I'd love to see this legend more in play. It's great for the zoning, the setup, especially if you have a great control of zones in situations like this where you provide the lockdown. Now Casellas, though, back on the inside here, a little bit of a surprise, but still the damage found here. Now turning around with that ultimate, providing the lockdown here, even in the face of a Valkyrie like that. Another drop, the final one here on Team Boom.
That's a big change up now. They've basically increased their scoreline by 50% with those 3 kills at the very least. Almost in double digits now, and Nestle Splash. This might be the turnaround as we swap on over to Storm Point for them. They are in a pretty good spot for this ring as well on the northern side. Here's Team Nerf, though, fighting a fight right now in the middle of nowhere. Of course, does get a little bit lost there. Has to be careful of that Arc Star, but they get 2 kills, and that's going to be onto Vizio. It's a 2-for-1 exchange, though, as the Beast of the Hunt is going to get popped here. Lost him a little bit in the smoke, but he will be able to finish off Fury. Vizio knocked out early. No points accrued here in game number 4. Nerf have a chip on their shoulder, and they are taking it out on the rest of the lobby now.
This time around, it's going to be Vizio falling early here if we talk about our partnered squads, that top 2 competition. Nerf, I got to give them praise. It's got to be around turns there. That smoke definitely probably giving the advantage, that leg up there, especially as Forcefoot was able to pull the ultimate out and have complete visual clarity. But I will say, still, just general micro, the gunplay, the expenditure pack away from what was that singularity, just Nerf, or my apologies, Vizio, not really finding a dang thing.
Yeah, despite having the utility, they had the black hole and everything, but it looked like Nerf caught them off guard. And it was more reactionary than anything else coming out from Vizio. So now Team Nerf knocking out our one of the competitors that were on top of the leaderboard in the top 2. They dealt with them pretty easily at the very least. Unfortunately for Elevate, they are still playing as a duo. And it's really unfortunate to see that coming out from Elevate, but they did have some fight in them. We did see them take the 2v3 in that last game, in game number 3. We'll see if they can find more. Looks like finally, Excedrin were able to hunt down that squad that they gave chase to at the beginning of this game. No hiding does have to back away, though, unfortunately. Getting cracked there on a board with Excedrin here on the western side of the map, just north of Cenote Cave. They haven't made it too far. They're over at Mills now. I don't know if it's a full squad or if it's just a 2-man. It looks like it's just a 2-man, so the remnants of this squad that they're chasing after.
Right, we did see the full thirst there exchanged in the initial start of that fight, so they know they have the numbers advantage, but I will say whoever's across from here was able to provide enough damage to slow this one down. Cruisin' forced to pull back, go for the full health and shielding exchange here. You can see from a bit of our extra vision, that's going to be the Gibraltar there. Just click away. Now back though with Splasher still performing now in the midst of this building here. Costello's to find a great response. This is RCO, but the third party.
Yeah, Gordo is here. Will they be able to get that res? Doesn't look like they have the bubble, unfortunately. Defensive bombardment is ready to be tossed down as the bubble comes out from VGS. Full push out as a 3-man, and now Splash are getting punished here. It's VGS are on the verge of knocking them out. At the very least, they out-survive 5 other squads. They will secure at least 1 more placement point. But hey, Hoi Senpai's got some fight left in him. KSP is going to go for that defensive bombardment as they go for the reset. They need to get Volkmeister in and that res, but I don't know exactly where he is. It looks like he's stuck out in the open. So, despite being able to buy time with that defensive bombardment, they're not going to be able to get him up. We have Oi Senpai finishing him off. Team Intel in a fight as well. They have traded, though. It's all up to Mooney. Looks like he's in a 1v1 right now. Defensive bombardment will clear that roof. He's going to go for that res as well. Doesn't have bubble for another 14 seconds. As Slurpee G has to throw up that knockdown shield and push out from that Valkyrie in this 1v1. Mooney is winning out up against Team Nerf right now. Dimmy gets cracked and he is forced to back away, hitting that bat. That's going to allow him to go for that res, and they're going to stick it together here. As the bat does go off, it looks like Nerf are just going to go ahead and back away as they have been able to recover the banner at the very least. But he's not going to be able to get his third squad mate up.
Remember, the Snowmen are still in the area here. They're the ones who actually found the drop there, I believe, onto Dimmy in that exchange. Now, thankfully, that kind of pressure dissuades them from coming in, especially with the health coming back in full force here for Intel. But I will say, the Snowmen were the ones to start that fight off in full force. They found those initial 2 knocks that might have put Intel down. Looking like we do see that full complete bleed out, though, from Force. What there is his items ahead. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be unfortunate because Team Intel can camp around here. They have 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go before the next zone closes, and really no impetus to move. They are a team that like to find the fights on the edges here, so they can stick around. They're going to use that Ash passive as well to try and track down the last members here. And looks like VGS still playing over on the eastern side of the zone right now, over by Thunderwatch. Currently, they do have a team, the remnants of that last squad that they were able to try and hunt down. There you got the full reset here. Unfortunately, not all the KP, but hey, some decent damage coming out. Never mind, that was just the 1 tick out from a charge rifle. But he has plenty of shots still behind it to go. We'll see.
Oh, yeah.
Only 87 damage off from that purple Evo shield for himself.
8 more shots, and, that might be enough to put the Purple Evo to work. At this point, though, they've got definitely a rotation in store for themselves here. Like you said, all the way out towards the north. Razor, maybe a little bit too aggressive on the entrance here, punished by Stick Drift OP, and actually, now Fearing Live, looking for complete removal there, taking advantage a little bit of what was available with that dome. Dresav, I'm 100% sure, yes, will fall as well. Now Fearing Live going to carry himself away out here towards the very cusp of Zone 3.
Good call, though. He had to just get out of it. There was really no chance to fight back 1v3 when the entire team, Stick Drift OP, are playing inside of that shuttle. You've already lost out. on one of your members there. The bubble was expended as well. There was no shot whatsoever of trying to salvage that fight. Team Intel, though, on the scout, looking for one of their own, as they're now actually showing up to the area here. They might be able to punish Stickdrift OP.
Right on the side, potentially available. Him with a nice choke on both angles here. I love James Fearless trying to get around the back end. Perfect setup for himself there. Now potentially one more, another break found with the wingman for a double knock. Now they know they've got the numbers advantage. They send it full force here on the last thing. Remember, can he get the execution off this time? Yeah!
And this is what we look at when we look at the fights that Team Intel take. They know that they need to kind of conserve on their meds, and so they take any opportunity to go for the executions, get that refresh on the shield. And I love seeing the quick decision making when it comes to that. When they know they've got the 1v3, they can safely do that without any pause whatsoever. Intel, this is what I was talking about. When we move on to Stormpoint, this is their opportunity. When there's less information for the rest of the lobby, for them to open up. Team Excedrin, though, on the north side of the map right now, up at North Pad, really fighting off a team, forcing them back as they have to fight through that smoke coming out from another Bangalore. That's also another thing that I love about Stormpoint. We're seeing a lot more diversity when it comes to the Legend meta.
Yeah. So good, especially with things like that Horizon kind of coming out more prevalent definitely on this map instead, especially due to the fact that the layout and the fact that the lack of cover, it provides for a necessary addition in terms of that mobility and verticality, especially with the Gravity Lifter. Haven't seen too much of its presence here today other than Vizio kind of launched upon fairly early in this live, but hopefully many more here. From afar, though, nice drop onto Dino. That's going to be enemy on that Valkyrie Tactical out here from Cruz, and see if it sticks. It's got a ways to go.
Yeah, they're even going to try and stop them with that missile storm, but it looks like the res did come out. Excedrin still giving chase, though, as they're fairly confident that this is an isolated fight on the western side. The zone continuing to pull up north of the wall. We're looking at that valley for that final end circle, so they need to deal with the squad first. Resetting inside the bubble, but they do not get the bat off. Team Excedrin on the verge of picking up +3 here, as Dino does end up going down and getting finished off. That's going to be 2 thirsts for Excedrin, not chasing after the third quite yet.
No, it doesn't matter. Nathan Yule still falls at the hands here of Stickdrift OP. Remember, they sit inside the little cusp, that area right there, that valley towards the north, which you pointed out extremely early on as this zone begins to pull up that direction there. You can see them still pressuring, out from the angle. We do see a rotation, though, coming out hard on the east. Kimchi Lee going to spot that one quite early on here, and you can see the rotations almost immediate from Excedrin.
Yeah, trying to approach this final ring is going to be difficult here, as Flinzar has been spotted. Stickdrift OP in the area, and he is instantly thirsted. Kimchi Lee getting pushed in that bubble, though, and enemy is here to back him up. Exo stood no chance from that falling PK, and Stickdrift OP will go down in 10th. Excedrin getting quick +3, and surprisingly up against Stickdrift OP.
Stickdrift OP, they give up what was kind of a god spot going into that zone. We know they had control for quite some time here, and in the face of Lee defending against the Whirl in the bubble, was able to pull that one off. Now back to Intel, still on the very edge of this zone, right in the south here. Slurpee with an angle of his own to drop Casellos here. I feel like this might be the rest of the Splash roster, potentially back up a late revive.
Now he does end up going down. That's a 1-for-1 exchange. We'll see if they can try and push inside the double doors, and they do. Getting the knock onto Oi Senpai. The instant pickup to stop the bleed out as well, because they are ticking away on zone damage, but unfortunately they lose out on Slurpee G. They will finish off Splash at the very least. They've got 30 seconds now with the zone to their back to try and find a way to get Slurpee G back into this. Luckily for them, though, in this game state, we're already down to 8 squads, 19 players, by the way. So still plenty of other teams that are absolutely bruised here, and now might be Excedrin that are getting knocked around. The defensive bombardment tagging enemy a bit, but he does have the cover behind. That's some obstruction there. You've got Kimchi Lee anchoring in the back. Nice missile swarm over the rocks as well. An enemy is right on top of them to follow up on that damage. The wingman onto the Gibraltar, though. not quite sticking there as he's forced back himself, going for that reset. Now all 3 members of Excedrin not quite there yet. Cruising, taking that high ground. You see Kim Chi Lee still playing off the back, forcing out the bubble at the very least. Cruising has to be careful as they've backed away, create some space for themselves. Cruising going for another peek, waiting out the bubble timing here, but you gotta imagine Excedrin now have regrouped as a full. They've got them pinned down behind this rock. They cancel out that Valkyrie ultimate, and there's the knock on to Ku. Excedrin are picking up so many kills in this game.
Heart, mind you, downed with what I believe is that Kraber there from afar. Kim Chi Lee, another one instead, this time being the R301. A great defense here right on the edge of this zone. Excedrin making sure that their backside is completely safe. Still, though, a ways to go. They have to begin now fighting into this valley here. And you can even see teams like Razor up ahead might potentially, I believe that's... yeah, that's a rat there. Fearing Live, a 1 left standing member.
Yeah. Luckily for Team Excedrin in this game state, there's only 4 squads remaining. And you got that big question mark as well for them on their HUD. So they don't know how many players are remaining, but they know that, you know, you're looking at what, a 3v3v 2v1 or something similar to that. So they know that any team that they run up against is probably going to be damaged here. And it's going to be Team Intel that's actually up as just a duo right now. So you got the 3v3v2v1. Unfortunately for Team Intel, they were not able to get the res. This zone just ticks for too much. You cannot go out of that ring to get him back in. So their only hope to get their 3rd player back is to try and find a mobile respawn beacon, but looks like they're not able to do so quite yet. So Excedrin are quite happy to be able to walk in. Fearing is going to be behind them, though, unfortunately, try and creep up, ratting for Team Razor.
And this might be the same situation here on the other side. You have Adept and his squad here that aren't exactly the most clear in terms of rotation through the wall just yet. They still might pull this one off now that we don't see Intel completely defending. But if they don't, they could potentially be a thorn in Excedrin's side if they head up through this rock exposure instead.
Yeah, that's going to be the big opening for Team Intel, right? It's all about what does this wall team do? If they go for that Valkyrie dive, are they going to be able to reliably spot that it's going to be a 3-man on the low ground and a 2-man on the high ground here, as it looks like Fearing Live has been spotted out, and he will get finished off. Team Excedrin, another kill point going their way. Now we're down to our final 3 teams, the 3v3v2, and here comes the Valkyrie ultimate now. This is what's going to decide the game. Where do they end up dropping? Excedrin understanding what's at stake, putting out as much fire as they can to dissuade them from dropping onto them and actually forcing them into Team Intel. But now they're just stuck inside the valley in between both squads. You can see Team Intel on the high ground have not dropped down yet.
It's a bit rough there for Team CRB, of course, on the inside, but now you have to worry even more for Intel. Their best bet here into the final ends of this zone. We're potentially taking advantage of the fight between those two, and trust me, it still could potentially happen. We're not even at round 6 yet, still waiting on round 5 to begin to choke this zone out, but choke this one will, bringing down Intel from that high ground now right in front of Team CRB.
And they do still have some cover to play off of right now as Kim Chi Lee swinging wide on the left-hand side. Still has 4 shots left in that Kraber. They're safely inside of the shuttle. And Intel find a nice pocket to play off of. Again, it comes down to who makes the mistake here. Things are still open for Team Intel to try and get this victory. Excedrin cannot make a mistake in finishing this one out. They do not want to miss out on those kill points. They do not want to miss out on the placements as well, especially when they're having such a big game. 2 connects out from Kim Chi Lee, but no knocks quite yet. And now he's down to his last shot on that Kraber. And unfortunately for him, I don't think he has a secondary to fall back on.
There is a Spitfire nearby. I don't know if he has the health or the range to expend torque. We saw the ping earlier on here from the rest of the Excedrin squad, but maybe potentially might not be able to. You see him pulling back, though, trying to take a bit of a different angle towards this high ground. See if he can get the angle off, get that last shot in, and as he drops that one off, I'm pretty sure he'll be pulling away and actually picking up what is the extended trade on that wingman. There might actually be the Spitfire. Yeah, someone else picked up that Spitfire from the crate, and the wingman was exchanged.
He's got no shots behind it, by the way. He's only got what is in the mag. Very unfortunately. We'll see if that's going to be enough for him. He does have that R301. Here's Team Intel, though, taking things into their own hands. They're going to go for that push onto CRB. And so it's all Excedrin here. As long as they play this one out immaculately, they should be able to get the victory. They're stacked on top of each other. It's a round 5 closing. So maybe CRB just don't even peek out. Team Intel playing underneath them right now allows Excedrin to start walking up and close
Still
out the
looking for
distance
Intel,
a bit.
by the way.
They're now, going to play center of the zone.
Huh. With those shots there potentially secured, they are still angled towards Intel, just making sure, at least covering what might be the last cover on that rock with that final close of that zone, though they will be informed and finally at least figure out that both squads now currently reside right in front of them, and in fact, right where they potentially want them here. The zone going to be pulling towards their direction. All they have to do is choke this one out inside the building here.
Just comes down to a lack of utility at this point. That's going to make things a little bit difficult for Excedrin. Nice pull up with the whip. So that's going to provide them a little cover to play off of, set up that crossfire, set up the angles here, and just
really
extra obstruction.
Oh, Lee, he's a threat to be had with the horn there on the trident, putting some pressure down, I guess, with the noise. Actually going to expend the full Phoenix kit there to heal on. Yeah, I was about to say, I'm glad they can't quite see a VOD or the stream itself, but if they did, that would be a slap to the face.
You start blaring some Stevie Nicks or something, try to get them out, but right now you can see Excedrin not looking to make any mistakes at all. They're just setting up their crossfire. They know that they can finish this one out. They also understand that it's at least a full 3-man inside of the shuttle. Don't know if they have confirmation that it's Team Intel as a 2-man underneath as well. Fearless gets tagged down. He's about to fall. Enemy is starting to get a little antsy there. He wants to go for that peak, but he doesn't have it. Fearless at least gets that battery off, and with that opening, that allows CRB to try and take the rooftop. But is that the play? The angles are there for Excedrin to keep them at bay. The final zone closing in. Kimchi lead now, going for that wide swing. He's got to be careful. He has to be quick on the bubble. If he gets tagged, he needs to throw it down instantly, and he will. Backing away, forcing out a missile swarm at the very least, but now things are a little bit troublesome for Excedrin here. They don't have a bubble for this last fight as they back away with that defensive bombardment of their own, trying to force down CRB. Enemy goes down. It's Fearless that takes him out, and they don't have a bubble res for him. They need to slow this fight down. They need to slow down the action to try and go for this reset. But take a look. Patty, he's got that Nox gas grenade to finish them off as well. He needs to toss that one in.
There it is.
A little bit short, but they are being forced in by that wall. Mooney has fallen. Fearless finds another kill. Team Intel still throwing a wrench in the works. They might be able to do this, but Fearless has no more heals, it looks like, as CRB lose out on season. Will they be able to get him back up? They do get that res. A nice spray down from Patty as they're going to push in as a full 3-man, but they haven't been able to heal quite yet. They need to start throwing down barrels, and there it is. But the bubble is up for Kimchi Lee as Fearless is taking him apart one by one. And just like that, CRB are able to take advantage of the opening that was made by James Fearless to secure the win here in game number 4.
I don't want to say it was handed to CRB there, but Intel making some of those early decisions, especially on the push to pressure down Excedrin from the outside, were absolutely crucial, but CRB is warranted overall here. The slow rotation out from the dome, controlling that high ground, putting down that defensive bombardment to throw Excedrin back up against the wall there, and even when they try to toss one of their own, the expenditure of that dome at the very last minute, just so they could hold on to the high ground until the very end. I mean, a perfect sort on those cooldowns there.
Yeah, congratulations to CRB taking the first win on Storm Point of the day. We're going to take a short break. When we get back, we'll have game number 5 of Series E right after this.
Verses coming daily under pressure. Working on applying the skin, the true side trademark is at the edge of your dreams. I'm talking, yeah. One shot, now the future is yours. I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the formula chemistry. The memories spark and motivate and make the industry shake. Put the bars in the breaks. I'm talking one chance episode. Goes for the goal. It's one shot. Now the future is yours. Go.
Excedrin.
I'm fading.
One bad headache can crash your entire game.
Excedrin relieves headaches fast.
Excedrin. Game over for headaches.
It's fruit refreshingly sweet, but without sugar, 0 calorie treat. Now all our top bars, flavored splash.
It's fruit freshen.
Game 4 there, and Excedrin looked like it was their game to win. They were winning all of the early fights, stacked up the kills, getting into the final 3 there, but CRB incredibly patient, and then Team Intel down a member, able to cause a ton of chaos, and ultimately Excedrin and Intel fall, and CRB, their patience pays off, and they take the win there in game number 4. So another open squad at the top of the table here with just 2 games remaining. Let's check out our 4th player of the game for tonight's competition, and it's going to go to our good friend Kimchi Lee here. 6 kills and 2 assists in that one, and look at all of that damage, almost 3,400. Excedrin was frying in this game. Kimchi Lee leading the way for the squad, and he grabs player of the game honors here despite not grabbing the win, but that's still very important points for the side of Excedrin, because remember, they're trying to hold off Team Nerf. They want to hold on to that 3rd place position, and that means they need to continue to perform here, and that's certainly going to do them a lot of favors. 2 more games to go here in open night, and it's going to be a fun run to the finish. We'll check out the Mobile One leaderboard and get you guys ready for game 5 when we come back.
Welcome back to Series E. Just before the break, CRB were able to take the victory in game number 4, but we had Team Intel and Excedrin there in the late game as well. So that's going to be a big shakeup in terms of the leaderboard. Speaking of which, let's check in with the Mobile One leaderboard now to see where everyone stands. Excedrin, despite not taking the win, they ended up bragging out pretty heavily in that game, and in doing so, they actually take away the lead. They are now in 1st place, but Team Intel find themselves back in 2nd place.
Whew, a big win out here for Excedrin, still finding success last week. Don't forget, this was the team that performed the best when we saw our partnered squads match up against the pros here. RCO, the Snow, and CRB, even with their win, still kind of fairly low in comparison to those names, sitting right on the cusp 5th through 8th.
Yeah, with 2 games left to go, Vizio need to make up that difference in between them and Team Intel and Excedrin if they want a shot at taking 1st place. But going down early there in game number 4, that's going to give them pause. We'll see if they change up the rotations for that one and really take into account what Team Intel do as they drop fairly close to each other on the map. Yeah. And so they have to keep that in the back of their minds again. But Team Excedrin ended up with a lot of kills in this game. I like how they played it out, slow playing it on the western side there, really taking into account kind of game state that we've had so far today here on Open Night. Let's check in with the Mobile One high performance moment of game number 4, though. I'm hoping it's the last moments of the game because honestly, would love another breakdown of that fight. No, it's Team Intel dropping down on a full squad. This is the kind of momentum they bring into the fights and how quick they're able to end them.
Yeah, and I love James Fearless here. So almost immediate in terms of this angle coming back around. The pressure also that he unleashed with that tactical as well as the Arc Star to just really secure the beginning of this fight, taking down both Cole here and one more before what was the final exchange. I mean, absolutely perfect.
Yeah, and you saw how quickly he was. It was very thoughtful in how he got that finisher as well. I mean, we talk about it. Sometimes people consider the finisher as like some BM, but really there is utility behind it. You get the armor refresh as well. He does it extremely safely. He tucks himself in, he clears the barrel, he does everything that he needs to, and he knows because of that first enemy that he spotted out all the way on the right-hand flank, and he has his teammates covering it, so he did not have to worry about it whatsoever. And then quick shift, and that ended up ultimately in 3rd place, even as a duo. They really shook things up there in the late game. I don't know how many of the kills they were able to secure because James Fearless ended up getting a lot of knocks before they ultimately went down in those last fights.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure either, but it was definitely the thorn in the side. Just not the one we were particularly expecting kind of going in those last moments. We discussed fairly early on, CRB being this wall team, potentially going to throw the wrench in the plans here of Excedrin, and that was what, was to be expected here, but we didn't really see them kind of winning it all there in the end. So once again, major props to them kind of controlling those final moments there. I have to say, I do think Excedrin maybe not in the clearest state there. We saw them maybe a little bit playful there towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, Excedrin do end up taking a lot of risks, right? When it comes to these fights, Kim Chi Lee in particular, he likes to try and find those off angles with that Gibraltar, really try to be the opener for his squad. And oftentimes it does get punished, which it did happen there for him, but he wants to go for those kill points. He knows that he has to make up some ground. He knows that he needs to, create a bigger gap in between them and that 4th place squad. And so big risks come with rewards as we head into game number 5 here for the day on Open Nights. Now, we saw a lot of teams kind of avoiding that south side. It looks like a lot of teams already getting the memo about Team Intel and avoiding them. We did have the contest for Team Excedrin over at Cenote Cave in game number 4. We'll see if that remains to be true. But for CRB, let's take a look at their drop spot. So not too far away. They're the team actually that goes over to towards the mills.
Yeah, one of the more effective spots, I would say, here on the Storm Point map. I love the rotations that it provides, especially when we do see zones pull towards the southwest, but not quite this time around. All the way on the opposite end of the map, they've got a way to go.
Yeah, this one pulling all the way over towards the east. So Stormcatcher is going to be the big point of interest there. A lot of squads are going to want to set up, or if they want to play early zone, but we haven't been seeing early zone coming out from a lot of our squads. It's been kind of riding around the edges of the zone 3 endings, trying to find those kills because of the accelerated nature of our games. So teams know that they have to play opportunistic. They know they have to try and gatekeep some squads here because by zone 3, we're basically down to half the lobbies in all these games. And this is why the Snowmen in an early game. And oh boy, they're about to pick up the +3 once more.
That'll be it for Team Boom already right off the bat here. Snowmen, they made it look easy. Speaking about that zone, though, before we move on, not just Stormcatcher, I do want to bring attention towards the depot out towards the east. Still definitely well within range for the potential finish on this one here. And we saw a lot of those actually discussing ALGS earlier this week. So one of the potential opportunities, but I'd be happy to see it go either way.
Yeah. Again, though, we've seen across the last 4 games that if you do want to play center zone, a lot of the times it's going to be surprisingly free because of how open the map has been for our squads. I mean, we've seen so many Valkyrie rotates into buildings which typically would have been occupied, but it's not happening so far. Najani's just still looting up for the Snowmen here. They can slow things down because that was a pretty fast 50-50 for them to take.
Yeah, they still have time to loot up, prior to rotation, we know for a fact that not a lot of squads are kind of landing down towards Antenna, Gale Station, Fish Farms. You may have the 1 or 2, but not quite the same when we talk about what exists, at least over towards the north and more appropriately out there on the west when we start looking at teams like Vizio, Intel CRB that still exist there. Here's for the Snowman. Take the time, potentially even craft up, maybe make use of that replicator, or take advantage of the beacon, play off of that one, and then make for the rotation as, more fighting to be had.
Yeah, I remember, I don't believe anyone dropped at Shipwell. So yeah, not too many teams rotating in from the south side. I believe one squad was taking all of Fish Farms and Gale Station. And so they don't have to expect too much action this early on coming in from the south. But hey, they're getting pushed, and you might imagine that this might be Team Nerf coming in for an early fight with that Bloodhound scan coming in off the crack with that Orange Star and the shot down. Never mind, it is not Nerf. And the NTE losing out on Mind Tricks. Snowmen do have to slow things down, though, as Lox and Ajani both need to heal up. But Ajani playing that Overwatch angle from up top. Not going to heal up quite yet. Splash, though, in a fight right now up at high point currently. We've already got a knock at a thirst onto at least one member, but it's a 3v1 for them. They're still playing this one very cautiously. Maybe another team's rotating a little bit early from the wall side here. Find out. Casello's with the scouting knuckle cluster here on the right-hand side, spotting one more out in mid, and it is a different squad showing up for this one. Ring of Fire onto the bridge to slow things down. Small connect for him, and he got the break on that shield. That's going to be stealth going down. Always Senpai picking that one up. Casello's dropped low, but it's okay as he tosses out that Arc Star to cover one more angle, and it looks like Splash, despite losing out on Prodigy Aces, will be able to finish off MBS.
Nice trade there from them, and I loved the control that they exude in those final moments. You called it out perfectly. The choice, those two squads that kind of exist. Yes, they have already fully thirsted one of them, but they still have to be respectful there. Casello's one on the side with the knuckle cluster here, and then Prodigy Aces, Oi Senpai beginning to set up for what was going to be that next rotation. And even still, after all of that, you begin to see them turn focus, look back out there towards west, maybe to pick up what might have been that last member, which I'm not even sure if they had gone down. As we look, though, towards the pad over here, Vizio, they're the ones now in high ground position. You know, last time we checked, it was in the Snowman's control here.
And they've already expended the gravity lift along with that black hole. They tried to use that bot to redeploy and get punished for it as the port comes out, but they've already got the knock onto Lox. Will he be able to make it? He's got a blue knockdown shield. Just a few more shots will break it, but it looks like a third party's coming in right now. A Rolling Thunder, or no, a defensive bombardment coming out behind them. So the third party's already coming in. Scissors is on that lurk right now. He's separated from his squad. He's going to wait this one out. Spots out the first Valkyrie, waits for the next drop down before he fires, but they don't know he's underneath them.
The trigger control is absolutely exceptional here. Scissors there, just barely not being spotted out. He actually can't even make for a rotation whatsoever, because if he did, he'd be quickly spotted there. You can still hear shots being fired from above. That definitely means they've got another squad playing. I think Scissors is in the same mental here, now taking towards the rock, this high ground. It's Team Intel here looking to play. This could be a rotate back around, as you can see the shots being provided from above. Dome down here, Mooney with the reload. Can he potentially get the revive off? Not quite. A shield swap in the last moment, still not enough health to provide.
Very unfortunate for Team Intel there. They did not have the complete understanding of the landscape in this fight over at Launchpad of all places with the ring closing. I mean, we said there aren't too many teams here on the south, but they all ended up congregating here as Vizio knocked them out. And it looks like Scissors will be able to regroup with this squad. Fury taking a lot of damage, but they do have that Gibraltar bubble, and oh my god, call him Hawkeye. He's about to run out of arrows, but he's done enough damage. He'll be able to recover them as well as soon as he gets over here. Retaking height, but he gets challenged himself, has the R301, trades out damage as Fury gets the knock onto Ajani. It's a 1-for-1 exchange as the Snowman turn around for another shot at this fight. Fury now dropped down low, but here is the Gibraltar pushing up. Frosty has fallen. It's a 2v1 as they try to retake height with that gravity lift. They spot out that last member. Big 64, a 30, and then a 10 to close things out. Vizio come up big at this launch pad fight.
And I'll tell you what, James, I'm already loving the horizon here for this squad. We take a tune in, though, towards Nerf, all the way out towards a Knight, a trade on their own. Prodigy Aces. This is Team Splash here. It looks like it's a bit even. Volkmeister's squad, though, also potentially in play here, as we do see Casellos fall at the hands there. Senpai as well. Now forced, but only one left to defend here, having to take back into the ring for safety.
He's got 2 med kits. Does he have any shield heals there? We'll find out in just a moment. But it looks like he has created some distance at the very least. Unfortunately for him, I don't know if he's ever going to be able to recover those banners, so he might have to rat this one out. Excedrin fighting a fight on the northwest side of this zone currently. We've already got the man advantage taking out 2, only 1 remaining on that squad now as I'm able to pick those up. So Excedrin playing off the momentum from game number 4, really trying to make up for the mistakes they had in the finish for that game. We'll see if they can get the win this time around.
Excedrin, they do slow up here. You got someone right on the edge. I was waiting for the ping to come out there from enemy. Potentially a hand off the keeper, but who gives a damn on the side? Now the singularity, quick turnaround. It's of no use. Dome to defend against the Natural here as the Valk takes to the skies. The break isn't bound, but Cruisin's looking low still. Tons of protection. Now the Dome on the opposite end here, this low ground. They might have to turn this one away. They don't understand the layout, and now they...
Yeah, the bubble has been used here. They can utilize that themselves, but instead they decide to push onto the last member of this squad. This was the third that they were not able to find initially, but in doing so and turning around and backing away from that third party, they are rewarded with 1 more KP there. So great call from Excedrin to use that phase breach instantly as another team ended up showing up in that engagement. So Excedrin playing like Team Intel, honestly, at this point, and how they're approaching this fight. I love to see this decision making. Now they're going to have to take some time, though, eating this ring damage. It looks like they're going to play this one even safer, backing away, might even take a far rotate. If they can possibly get their hands on a trident to wrap around even further west.
Should be fine here. It's still only zone 2. Definitely have the health to spare, even if they're going to go directly with the immediate choke. Looks like they're pulling more towards a wall. Seems like some trades to be had, though, as Gordo finding that initial knock onto Force, because we actually tuned back into Vizio, continuing with their onslaught here. Now the combo, the wombo that's coming through the Gibraltar here, as well as that singularity. Trying to get a better high ground angle. There you go. That's what you need.
A lot of nades being expended for this one Valkyrie here, but you can see why. That high ground angle is punishing them now. Vizio literally in an uphill battle. They might have to give up on this one as they've expended a lot of utility for this. The defensive bombardment going down, forcing them back. Fury almost falling here. Needs to continue to slide down. This team turning the fight onto them. Another nade in as their bubble gets pushed up top. That Wraith needs to back out, though. And a 2v1 behind that. Now, Vizio standing their ground, looking to turn things out. The high ground advantage given away by that squad, dropping down, allowing Vizio to go for the full reset. Fury even gets the bat and a med kit off here as that squad will back away. Understanding the reset came in. Now Vizio, what do? Well, they're going to try to use that grab lift, but the player on the right angle has backed away. He's confusing them just a bit. Scissors now on the hunt. Spots out the Wraith on the left once again. Spray down, hits for flesh, but they can't chase after it as their Gibraltar needs time to heal up, and that's the knock onto RCO. Sleepy Panda gets punished for it. They might be able to get one more there as Vizio now with the man advantage will push up a defensive bombardment, try to slow them down, but Vizio have already moved in. Bubble res on the other side, though, is just going to buy time now for Vizio to retake height up against this squad. We even have a third party from the long range over by Stormcatcher.
I believe that's not quite the Wraith. I think that's the Loba here. We see that bracelet in those final moments. Of course, one member down here. That'll be it for Sleepy Panda there on the side. As Holiday as well as actually, no, that's the whole, that's RCO, just all eliminated.
Now we're down to 8 squads remaining, 21 players left here. Vizio coming up with a big game number 5 so far. Multiple team wipes for them. See if they can find more. Keeping an eye around them. They know that there was a charge rifle from a distance. Not going to chase after that one. They have enough of those uphill battles to deal with. They don't want to deal with another one here because their utility and their economy really got eaten into in that fight.
Vizio here, still slightly pulling in. They got a bit of cover to exchange before they maybe take a final position here. Looking at Excedrin, pressured by Stick Drift OP, they've lost Lee in his entirety here, as in this dome, that long rotation that they were forced to take is now being punished. Let's see enemy with the redeploy, able to take to the air. We'll see if any shots will be found here. Stick Drift OP on the defense, not quite, but they will have to drop Lee meanwhile.
It's really unfortunate for them now dropping over towards command center, but how do you call that? How do you ring rotate this late up towards the wall and still expect, you know, a team to be there to run into someone? It's really unfortunate for them. Here's Falling Guys. Might go down to the ring. They got to be careful here. They've been spotted out. As you can see, there's a full 3-man underneath them, but they'll just be able to fly right past them. At least for Falling Guys, they were able to pick up the banner of Nathan Yule, maybe try and get him back in. Unfortunately for Team Excedrin, I don't believe that they were able to recover the banner of their third member as well. Flinzar finishing off Prodigy Aces, so one more rat down. 7 squads remaining. That's Nestle Splash knocked out.
I was going to say Splash, but kind of running around this map for quite some time there. We saw Cosellos back up and down and up and down, and finally Prodigy Aces to fall as well there in those final moments. Now taking a look at Vizio. This is actually out over by the depot that we talked about fairly early on. Now trying to pressure inside these buildings here. Break, a drop, Twitch Arise product now on the floor. Hearing them looking for what will be their next return.
Climbing up and they catch out a Caustic, trying to go for the heals. Patty, unfortunately, will fall. Only one player left on this squad now. Team Vizio. Again, you really do notice basically the state of the lobby here, and they know that these fights are isolated for them, so they full send it onto CRB. Not CRB, excuse me. Taking them out. Team Razor, though, they've been on the kill feed quite a bit this game as well. They are already at 5 kills at the very least, cleaning out Falling Guys. It was just that duo there. So now we are now down to 5 squads. Make that 4 as Stick Drift OP gets cleaned up by Nestle Splash.
Now, all these teams going to be forced to make the rotation even further out towards the east. We discussed this fairly early on when we saw the POI was going to be Stormcatcher, but didn't quite fare that direction. You can already see 2 majors ahead here. We know if you take towards the south, it is 1 disparity in terms of the height. There's a major hill here that you do have to fight up against, and really no cover to work with as you actually make your way into that kind of depot area. Still though, Razor, they don't really have an option. The zone choking them out, and now they might actually have to take this fight here against the 2-man roster that is Excedrin before anything.
Oh, they're taking to the skies, though, and they were not able to catch them in that very vulnerable animation. So very narrowly missing out on 2 free kills for themselves. Team Razor just hoofing it, as we do have Excedrin dropping right on top of Vizio. They've got to be careful. Excedrin, you got to know that every other team is basically a 3-man, if you do the math here. Vizio know that as well, but surprisingly enough, they get into the back pocket of this building. So they now put themselves on the other side of Team Vizio. As you can see, Vizio are chopping at the bit. They want to make this push. They saw that it was only a 2-man dropping down. Scissors takes a lot of damage there, but he does not allow them on the other side to heal up as Gibraltar pushes in with Fury. Scissors gets that full heal off. Grav lift to check roof just in case. Cruisin is there, and he got the knock onto the Gibraltar. Will not be able to get the thirst, though, as Fury is here to back them up. They need to go for the instant res, and Razor now are going to be able to take advantage of this opportunity coming in for the third party to try and finish off Excedrin along with Team Vizio.
Razor, though, they haven't quite jumped on the bit yet. That'll be it for Team Excedrin, is now coming at the very end. And this is VGS. We saw Volkmeister and his crew fairly early on here when they were eliminating Splash. They're actually going to give Vizio the time to reset inside this building, being the saviors of this one and actually taking the worst straight out of all of them.
It's the final 3 squads, and VGS might be the third squad knocked out here as all focuses on them, both Razor and Vizio. Just trying to finish them off here. KSP has gone down. That was Razor pick that one up. That allows Vizio to retake height here, though, as Volkmeister will go down. Razor just need to finish off one more player. Dreza gets that bubble down just in time. Cannot overextend on this one. They need to take the time to try and reset. But Scissors is trying to put on the pressure for himself here as the defensive bombardment does go down. Here comes out the missile swarm, and they still have nades in tow. Arcstar in. No connect there for Scissors, though. Now he slows things down. Looks like VGS left to one player now. It's a 3v1, and Vizio, no, they have the momentum, they have the advantage, but the turnaround might be here. Scissors might have overextended. As you see, Vizio, both of their armors have been cracked. Bubble has gone down. Fearing Live has fallen as well. Vizio with the 3v2 will push up to secure the win in just a moment here. Gordo, though, dishing out some damage, but now Vizio push into Razor's bubble, taking out Dreza, and only one player left for Razor here as Vizio should clean up the final kills here in game number 5.
Man, and a fantastic game at that there. Vizio kind of coming in and cleaning out the depot area fairly early on, taking advantage of that building out there towards the east here, and now capitalizing on these two squads. Got to hand it to VGS's. Whoa! A massive revive!
Wow, okay, so there's a shot, but they don't have any loot to play off of, and it's white armors, unfortunately, for VGS here, as Vizio are sitting on completely upgraded armors. That's actually just more kill points for Vizio to end up picking up. These are kill points that they ended up missing out on. It's a second chance at it. Vizio just kill farming the rest of this lobby here in game number 5. They take a huge victory.
What an odd finish there at the end. VGS, you gotta hand it to them. They tried, to say the least, but it was just too stacked up against them. Now Vizio, with plenty of kills on their belt, more than sure to retake the highest position here in this lobby.
Yeah, it's just really unfortunate that just, you know, there's like a 10-minute animation on the mobile respawn beacon there, and you're just watching on as all the kills are happening. You see Vizio just jumping around towards your spot, and you know that as soon as you hit that ground, you are gone. But still, great work coming out from VGS. They fragged out in this game as well. We saw them multiple times on the kill feed, but it was ultimately Vizio who were able to come out on top, taking that win. Now that means we have one game left, our final game of the day here for Open Night. You're not going to want to miss it. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back right after this break.
I'm fading!
One bad headache can crash your entire game.
Excedrin relieves headaches fast.
Excedrin, game over for headaches.
Vizio back on top once again. They win their second game of the night. They took a little bit of a break, but games 2 and 5 belong to Vizio. And we said it at the top of the show, they're trying to reclaim that title as the Kings of Open Night, and that should very likely jump them into the top spot on the Mobile One leaderboard with just one game left to go. Let's check out our player of the game here. Fury got it the last time around, and it's Scissors' turn here. 7 kills and 3 assists here for the member of Team Vizio, and just short of 3,000 damage. Vizio with a very clean game there, and they finished with 16 kills overall, so that's a huge 28-point performance for Vizio. It was very tight at the top of the standings. Of course, we came into Game 5 with the standings being Excedrin, Intel, Vizio, and Nerf in that top 4, and not a lot of points separating them, but this might be Vizio separating themselves from the pack here with a huge pop-off in game number 5. And now with one more to go, they'll be looking to put the finishing touches on an open night victory here, but we'll have to see if Excedrin, Intel, or Nerf can try and challenge them and unseat them from the top spot in this final match on Storm Point. It's been an exciting night so far. We're promising and looking forward to a fun finish here. We're going to a break right now. When we come back, the final game of Series E Open Night.
Versus coming daily under pressure. Working on the plot and the scheme. The true side trademark is at the edge of your dreams. Yeah. One shot, now the future is yours. I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the formula and chemistry. The memories spark and motivate and make the industry shake. Hit the balls of the brakes. I'm talking one chance that was so close for the goal. It's one shot, now the future is yours. Let's go.
Huge turn of events for Team Vizio there in game number 5. Typically, what has been Team Intel's night here on Open Night, it has been Team Vizio who have been able to come out on top. Now, we do have one more game, though. Let's check in with the Mobile One leaderboard to set the stakes before we head into the final game of the evening. Because we did see Team Vizio, they were trailing behind just a little bit, but now with that win, they'll put themselves in the lead in first place by 4 points. Team Excedrin, though, put themselves in second place now, and Team Intel are trailing by 14 points in third place.
Wow. Still definitely all within a competitive range here. A team, though, that I'm surprised to see kind of competing within that top 4 that also kind of hoists that opportunity is Razor here at 54 themselves, only 15 behind the leaders of the pack. And if they were able to pull out a win here, this would be some of the best performance we've seen out of them in a long time.
And it's a great turnaround for them, especially after the first half. I mean, we saw in, what was it, game number 1 or 2 when we were over on World's Edge where they lost out their 50-50 in Skyhook. So good tenacity coming out from them, really able to fight back, especially here on Storm Point. I feel like definitely worked out for them as Team Razor bring things back in. We do have 4 teams definitely in the running right now. Team Nerf will have to have a huge game number 6 and even RCO to try and fight for that first place finish, but a 25-point lead that Vizio have over them. That one's looking a little bit insurmountable, but hey, Vizio did have a 28-point game. They had 16 kills in that last game. Team Nerf needs to match that and hope the other squads don't pop off above them if they want to find themselves in the top 2. But looking at the Mobile One high-performance moment, it's Team Vizio taking this fight at the end. They did this one so exceptionally well.
Yeah, fantastic rotation in here from Vizio, and they were really a threat throughout the entirety of this. This doesn't show the extended defensive bombardment, the singularities that were provided, all before this one took place whatsoever. Finally, they were able to find the start of those knocks as Bursty made for his last exchange all the way out there towards the western end of that depot, which, funny enough, ended up turning into what was another 4 players here at the very end of this one.
Again, though, for Vizio, it was just more kill points in the end of the day. 3 more basically, literally dropping into their laps at the end there. So they're happy to see that. I mean, those 3 points could be why, you know, at this point in the game, that they have the lead that they have. That mobile respawn beacon could be the MVP for Team Vizio. Now, though, in the final game, what do our teams do to try and change things up? I mean, Team Intel haven't been able to find the same kind of footing that they had off of game number 1. I mean, remember, that was a 20-point game for them. They had like 15, 16 kills in game number 1. They haven't been able to repeat that performance so far. How do they bounce back when Team Vizio are starting to win out in that kind of play style now?
I mean, I will say it does come back towards technically playstyle, right? We are still seeing these teams kind of approach these game with the fluidity of the hunt, for those kills outside in the ring, still in zone 3, right? We go towards Depot here at the very end, and there was literally no one set up in those final moments. Only Vizio really held a great spot for themselves here. So if Intel are looking to pick up a win, put themselves in first place, all they really have to do is kind of treat this one as it should, respect it.
Yeah, it was a very awkward game. I was going to say a little awkward, but it was a very awkward game. And we saw Excedrin getting caught out by Stick Drift OP when they were ring rotating in ring number 2. So many teams ended up actually going down there. I believe Nestle Splash in their fight up against, I can't even remember who, ended up trading and kind of griefing their game. Also ring rotating from the north side. I believe they drop over at high point and they never really kind of got out of there because they were constantly fighting. So it was very awkward in game number 5. Vizio definitely took advantage of that. They're still keeping the ring well within their minds to make sure that they don't get caught out in situations like that. So I'm glad to see Excedrin, though. I think they have an opportunity to still win this game out. They find themselves in the top 4 as we head into the final game of the evening. Let's join on board with Team Vizio. Currently our lobby leaders, but not by much. They only have a 4-point lead up against our second place squad.
As we take here, we'll see if any squads have maybe changed anything up. It is the last game. I would not expect it here. All right, maybe I'm wrong. It'd be weird if that was coming through after dropping next to them for quite some time here. But yeah, Hart, Dresav already dropped there, the wingman.
What a split coming out from Vizio as well. So I don't know if they're all the way down by like Antenna and they're taking all of that loot, but this is a big split coming out from Vizio. There's a lot of respect afforded to them on board of this fight. Razor up top, Hart securing that thirst. Big 102 out from Bursty there, getting a full connect on that triple take. Fearing live, can he punish this though? Unfortunately for him, doesn't have any heals for his shield there. There we go, hitting it at least one cell. Razor, we're able to pick up that banner at the very least, and they might just call it on this fight. Nerf once again in that fight. They've lost out on turns. Very unfortunate for them as we have so much fighting taking across the map.
Very close there in that exchange. The dome down. Remember, this is actually 2 squads here, and now Force will be the bane of their existence. Dimmy taking towards the high ground. Going to play this roof for as long as he can here. As now CRB are the ones to sweep in and clean that one up. Taking towards the second floor of the roof there. Dimmy does defend. Bring Adept low and Arise down.
Yeah, Patty, though, won't be able to finish him off. It's that last Mozambique shot to take out Dimmy. Nerf knocked out in 18th. They don't even secure a kill point as Excedrin find a fight too, just outside of checkpoint. Quick moves coming out from them as the knock goes down onto Willingly. And I don't know if you willingly want to take this fight. As Excedrin continue this push now. Enemy is actually in a 1v2, but he actually hears that Valkyrie underneath him. Maybe he spotted out just a little bit of the antenna wing thing there. So good eyes on him. He's been eating his carrots, and they'll be able to finish off Disposable. Nice shots onto Cardinal to finish him off. Excedrin matching pace with the rest of the lobby as Splash find this fight once again up at high point right now. Please take it away, Zephyr.
And there in the window there, Oi Senpai trying to find the shots. They'll be cleaned and finished by Prodigy from above. A revive potentially coming through as the door opens, but look at who it is from behind. Oh Senpai cleaning up the final kill here.
Now how long will Splash hang around here? They need to start moving. It's already a minute before the zone starts closing. I mean, we're already down to 15 squads. 1 squad down to a duo as well. I believe that's Razor still trying to get the third member back on in as the dust has finally settled throughout all this. We didn't even get to take a look at the ring. It looks like it's pulling down towards the south. I'm just going to go ahead and take a guess. I'm guessing barometer for this next zone.
Emerson, they don't even play the ring. Sit outside.
I'm going to take a guess, man.
Doesn't matter.
No, it's not barometer, so it's going to go towards Jurassic Park. Okay.
This is exactly where Vizio would want it to pull a win out here. They're back right up against Antenna. Not quite where we saw their advantage start over in the east towards launch pad, but still looking to potentially gatekeep or defend. We see them in a bit of an exchange there. Just notice, though, towards the north, you do have the Snowmen. They've been kind of a really big squad for shaking up some of our partnered ones here as they've taken out teams like Intel, like Vizio across all of tonight.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, but I think they're within the top 6. A good performance, a good high frag game could put them into the money. Remember, it's only the top 2 that place, as Splash have spotted another squad taking the railgun cannons there. Team Intel over by Mills. Instant thirst onto Otter. And it looks like it might just be one player remaining in this fight. Fearless having a little difficulty jumping up there. Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to use my ulti instead to hunt down the last of these kills. They're seeing the kill feed. They know that they need a big pop-off game. Ooh, Mr. Boom gets finished off, and one player left, served up on a silver platter. Very thick raccoon will fall. That's Team Boom going down. We're now down to 14 teams.
Mind you, we're now the full 14, though, so we can assume that Razor has been able to pick himself up, but not quite the same here on the other end for High Peak Esports. They're dropped by Vizio. They actually pulled more directly into Antenna, wanted to take advantage and find out what that beacon had in store.
There were multiple teams in the area. I wonder if there's one more squad, quite possibly, that was down here. Like you noted, Snowmen were playing just to the north of them as well, but Snowmen slowly playing this one this time around. I mean, that's when things worked out for them. When teams ended up just dropping into them, they were able to get those fights. I mean, we saw that in game number 3 with Team Intel dropping down onto them. They've also been able to take multiple fights against a lot of our partner squads today. Now, though, Nestle Splash working their way down south in Thunderwatch currently. Don't know if they were able to catch that initial squad that they saw using these cannons, but it looks like they haven't been able to give them chase quite yet, but here they go, looking for their next fight.
Not taking the cans there. Want to approach this one as slow and as low as they can as they start sliding down the hill here. They'll be in zone. Not like that might be a problem for them, but hopefully as they approach Stormcatcher here, they might be provided the information of where those had found their way out and towards, as Intel now driving out here towards the area. Gale Station right up ahead. And taking a little bit of a shot at the spiders, just putting them in their place, I suppose. As might run up into Vizio. This is where we did just see them.
Yeah, they see the replicator being used, and so they know there is a squad up top. Instantly, the defensive bombardment goes down to at least allow them the window of opportunity to take these extremely long lifts to get up. Splash, though, in their fight now inside of Stormcatcher proper, and they've already won out. It's going to be a 3v2. I don't know if they're going to be able to finish that last player off. I don't know even where he is. They're trying to chase him down. I think that's the downed player underneath them as Team Intel about to knock out Vizio. We only swapped away for like 2 seconds.
There's still one last standing member, Scissors, somewhere potentially above here as Slurpy's still smelling that one out, but at this point, who's still left in it regarding the top 5 here? I know Vizio, they still have the one member, but you can't be sure if they're going to be getting those banners back anytime soon. I mean, James Fearless, he's just standing upon the rope here, just hovering, watching the box. Yeah.
We'll see if Scissors can get him back in. I mean, it'd be nice, but we've seen Intel camp the banners on Vizio before. You can see Scissors just watching on longingly. And he has 50 seconds left on it, but there's no shot. You can see zone number 2 is still in on top of those death boxes as well. So they can indefinitely sit there. So Vizio, I'm going to have to wrap this one out. Intel doing the rest of the lobby. Pretty big favor here, as Vizio did not have a commanding lead going into this game. They needed a solid performance to secure tonight's first place.
We'll have to see if another squad can potentially route back, maybe take out Intel or Excedrin, who kind of hold those positions to give Vizio the fighting chance here. But as we see Scissors take to the sky with that redeploy, we have our best hopes in mind. Razor inside just the edge of Cascade Falls here. and we see heal coming through that battery for Fearing Live. They're in an exchange against a squad here, but remember, this is quite a dicey area to fight through. So many angles, so many buildings to hold up on, especially this one here with the double stairwell on both sides can be one of the hardest to push.
Yeah, when you have a Valkyrie that's patrolling up top, you have to worry about those angles. The building affords. You can see a few shots ringing through onto Bursty. He was spotted, and it's so hard because you can't really fight back. You can't shoot through those same angles back at them. You're going to expend a defensive bombardment. Actually gets connect onto one, hitting for purple, so that's big information coming out from Dreza, but again, the rest of the squad is in the other building watching now. They have made their way on over. They're going to try and fight top down up against them here as Razor trying to figure out what to do. Their tools to fight into this, not quite there. A 30-30 in close range combat, not quite what you want, even if you got the 1-2 on it there. As Razor just holding the angles for now. Gibraltar peeks and never mind. KSP just does the job for them, giving them a free kill.
I'm pretty sure this is still two separate squads here, one potentially rotating from the back. We see the angles provided from Bursty a little bit further forward there, out in towards west. The dome actually down now in response as they begin their push outside here. Fearing Live providing most of the burn there. As now the master aggressive. Can he find the last shot? He has to make a return here from all angles of burning there. One more tick will do it as he finds the final battery to hopefully make it up the stairs.
Wow. So we know that we've got a fuse in the area. So yeah, multiple squads showing up here to the north-hand side right now. Splash, what can they do to break open this? As Team Intel actually end up showing up as well. So every team has congregated here. They need the kills, and it looks like it's going to be Team Intel finding it onto RCO of all teams. So many of our big hitters here now at the end. Fearless needs to back away along with Slurpee G. They drop down to go for that reset. If he wants to, he can retake height, and it looks like that's exactly what he'll do. A nade landing right on top of him. It's just a knuckle cluster coming out. But it does end up giving away information, though. So they know that rooftop is being contested right now. As Slurpee G will go ahead and peek down, pushing in. Fearless got some decent damage off on the other side, but it's going to be Slurpee to try and go entry here from this doorway. It's a full 3-man on the other side. He almost gets the one clip with that car. He has been absolutely deadly all day long. Initial damage out onto one more player as well as they push in as a 2-man Razor, losing out on Dreza. And now they'll go ahead and push up. The Arcstar slows them down along with that Thermite, but we know how quick Intel are on the reset call. So slow things down. They've got the 3v2 along with multiple squads in the area. They know they have to play this one conservatively. So they get the 2 kills. They're happy with that one. Razor on the verge of getting knocked out here.
Intel there right on this window. You can see they already have in mind where this one falls here, providing the shots from afar. Mooney with the 301, Slurpee with the wingman, a Razor eliminated.
Now the next team on the chopping block ahead of them here, and they have instantly turned onto them, forcing out the quick bubble. Fearless needs to hit that bat, though. He has been tethered, but they cannot punish it, unfortunately, for the other team. Bubble has come out a little bit early for Moody, but luckily for him, a defensive bombardment has gone down, so he'll have the time to try and have another bubble to push across that courtyard, make their way on in. Might have heard them on the other side of this wall, but Slurpee just uses that opportunity to retake height. He spots out one above. Big shots with that wingman is going to force that player down. And how many more teams have shown up here? This is ridiculous.
The fuse on top of the wheel there had to have utilized what was Prodigy Aces on that ultimate to make a rotation like that. But now Splash, the gatekeepers here of Intel right on the edge of this zone here, still trying to find angles, but Intel, they say, we're not going to play your game. We'll take to the skies and meet you up a little bit later here. A quick information dump. Excedrin able to find a fight of their own in meanwhile that action, taking down Stick Drift OP. So still just as competitive, fighting neck and neck here for a position potentially in first against Intel.
Such a great call coming out from Team Intel, and we have noted that about them. In their resurgence, they have been so much better on these calls about when to disengage from fights, fighting out from the ring, but have been almost impossible up against the Fuse, who could just throw down knuckle clusters every 15 seconds or so. And so now they're going to have to find their next fight. Excedrin, though, just south of Cascade Falls, they have 2 teams ahead of them, it seems like, or that might have been an isolated player, that Gibraltar. With that dome down, Kimchi Lee did get tagged and forced back behind cover, and Intel have turned it around onto Splash once more. Casellos has gone down, he's been thirsted, and the tables have been turned by Team Intel.
Now, from afar here. Trying to find a burn of his own there. The dome is down. They know they have that information in store here with a bit. That dome down is... They're going to take it right up against the wall. Play at least into the face of what could be a rotation into Jurassic Park, you know, if necessary. But just taking this one fairly slow. You can tell the win is on their mind. But honestly, seeing how everyone is as slow as they are regarding the zone, I'm not surprised that they do hold the wall so directly.
Yeah, they're trying to find some vertical clearance here to go for that Valkyrie redeploy, and it looks like they do have clearance, and there they go. They know who's ahead of them. They know that it's Team Intel along with Splash, I believe, and we're fighting in those domes. That's what they were keeping an eye on. They don't want to fight into that one quite yet. They still need to out-survive them. Get the plus 12 if they can with that first place finish, and it's going to be another free Valkyrie rotate, even with some additional loot as well. For them. No, it's a beacon being used. They drop down onto one player. Who is that? It's going to be Prodigy Aces, Nestle Splash. We're trying to get their player Casellas back on in, but it's going to be Excedrin that punished them. Now they have to deal with Team Intel. Nope, it's Prowlers on the other side of this one. What an awkward game.
Bit of a shame there, falling at the might of a redeploy. Now Excedrin, a full red Evo, ready to go straight on the other side of Jurassic Park as we tune into Intel, still picking up kills of their own. This is adept in the CRB boys, I believe, here, as now they themselves falling, unable to defend against the pressure provided from both angles here.
Yeah, remember, Team Intel started off the day with like a 17-kill game, 16-kill game, and they're looking to finish off strong. Once again, they kind of fell off the last 4, so I'm glad that they were able to find their footing at least in this last game, and now there's chances of honestly coming in first place pretty big. Remember, they knocked out Vizio, and now they need to knock out Excedrin. Excedrin just trying to avoid this fight for as long as possible. Team Intel moving at the sound, or moving at every single sound around them. It's a full 3-man trying to take off, and they're not able to punish that Valkyrie redeploy. But that does leave the rest of the north side of this zone open for Team Intel now to play for the late game, as this last ring ends up pulling towards the river center.
So now we know for a fact 9 people in play, full 3-man rosters. One of them, of course, being Excedrin, and across that Intel here, you can see the Snowmen, half of them at least alive. No sight on locks as of yet. Scissors, though. Scissors still is in present. Remember, was able to rat, and now in 7th place. This could be a wrench in a lot of the KP that we've been seeing Excedrin and Intel pick up here. If he survives long enough, remember, maybe that 4-point gap might be enough.
Yeah, we've got Excedrin on the south, we've got Team Intel on the north, but for how long? They have to be chasing after these kills right now. We know that there's multiple rats running around, 7 squads left, 12 players remaining, so multiple rats abound in this final circle. I mean, it's not even the final circle, it's ring number 4 ending up closing here. Ooh, enemy with some nice shots off that flat line, keeping that player honest throughout all of this. Excedrin themselves have almost been matching Team Intel's aggression this game. You saw 5 kills for enemy there. Cruisin', I believe, had about 3 or 4. So it's coming down to a kill race once again between Team Intel and Excedrin.
I would go out on a wager, say that Intel probably has a little bit more. Their extended trade all the way out in those buildings fairly early on netted them quite a few against teams like Razor, and now potentially more here as they begin to defend out west. What? How?
I didn't even see it. He was just kind of just taking a lucky shot out there. Still hit the head. He hit double body onto that Valk. Just one shot remaining. Literally one shot. Literally one shot. Arcstar to finish the job. We'll see if he gets it. I think Kimchi Lee might have been able to steal it. Fearless ends up taking out Scissors throughout all of this. Now down to 4 squads remaining. Intel, Excedrin. We got a 3v2v1 in this last circle now. Intel, they're going to go ahead and push up onto Excedrin. Missile swarm out. We've even got a thermite coming in as they are backing them up into a corner. They force out the early bubble. Fearless gets the knock onto Kimchi Lee. They've got the man advantage to try and finish this one off. They should secure the thirst on the ground at the very least as Cruisin finishes off the last rat for KWP. So now it is going to be a 3v2v2. Team Intel are about to do it here. They need to secure the last kill points though.
Oh, enemy caught out there, the break. Now he flashed straight into the portal right behind Cruisin. Mooney will still be able to bring him down. The chase to ensue. Fearless not too far behind. Mooney as well. They want to bring down their oppressors here before they have the chance to survive.
This is what I love about Team Intel. When it comes to these open nights, they play like our squads that show no respect even in the Pro League, that take every single fight, and that's what Intel are doing. They're taking every single fight up against our partner squads, knocking out Excedrin. Now they're about to secure the win. It's going to be a 3v1 up against Ajani, who's just left into a corner. Frosty off in a corner of his own as well. Both of them just trying to play on their ones, but Ajani is getting chased down. The bubble has gone down for him, but Team Intel, they know it's only a matter of time. Pushing the bubble, big 88, and Ajani will fall, and now it's all up to Frosty. One more 1v3 for Team Intel. Get the final one of the day, but Frosty got the knock with the Kraber. Brings it down to a 2v1, but it's not enough. Team Intel with the massive game number 6, but there's still the big question mark. Was it enough? Was it enough to secure first place?
14 points behind Vizio going into this game. We know they got 12 of them at least, and with the KP that we saw in that game all throughout, I'm more than sure than saying this is potentially Intel's next win here in Open Night. What is this, their 5th consecutive win in a row?
Something crazy. It's definitely crazy. The Intel buff coming in a little bit late in the season, but definitely coming in for Team Intel here, and especially in game number 6. Now, we have to wait for our admins to tally up the rest of the scores here. We're going to take one last break. When we get back, we'll be able to announce the winners of Series E Open Night after this.
We're going to do it in 3, 2, 1.
What an insane finish to the night here is Intel, who has been dragging out in a lot of these games, but unable to get into those late circles and grab a win. Put the cherry on top of their night with a victory in Game 6. Now the question was, and we heard Zephyr and Jamerson talking about it there before going to break, they were behind by 14 points, behind first place. They had a lot of ground to make up, and while they had that incredible performance, Vizio was able to rat it out into the late game, and I believe they picked up at least a few KP. The question is, did Intel do enough in that final game to snatch victory? I'm a little hungry, snacks on the brain. To snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. We will find out when we go back to Jamerson and Zephyr momentarily. But first, little business to take care of. Let's look at our final player of the game here for tonight's competition. We'll take a peek here. Of course, Fearless got one earlier on in the night and is going to be able to do it again. 8 kills, 8 assists, almost 2,500 damage. So Fearless with 2 players of the game here tonight. A big showing there for the top fragger in Series E at this point in the season. And that was a total of 22 kills overall for Team Intel in this final game. A wonderful performance from the team.